We're joining you a little bit late as we're underway here as you watch that Michigan-Ohio State game. I'm Joe Fonzie along with Fred Bassana. We're midway through the first quarter. California with its first possession of the afternoon, a 3rd down and 12 as Kevin Brown goes back to pass. And throws complete to Chris Richards across the 20 to the 25, but he's going to be short of first down territory. Just to tell you what's happened so far in the first quarter, the Stanford Cardinal took the opening kickoff at its own 37, drove down inside the 10-yard line of the Bears, then attempted a 21-yard field goal as the Bear defense held. And then David Sweeney, who's had his problems kicking field goals for Stanford this year, missed a 21-yard field goal attempt. The Bears got the ball in this possession, and that's where we stand right now as Scott Tabor will punt it away for Cal and stand at his own 12-yard line. Tabor with a low spiral that's going to come down to Thomas Henley on a hop at the 30-yard line. And a good move by Henley to get across the 35 to the 37. And that's exactly where Stanford took over on its first series. We'll see what they can do here as we're scoreless with 7:32 to play in the first quarter. We'll be back right after this. KPIX Sports presents the 89th Big Game. Brought to you by your Toyota dealer. Who could ask for anything more? And by Coors Extra Gold, the beer with the taste you can see. By Pacific Bell, a Pacific Telesis company. By Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time. And San Francisco Federal Savings, where financial services have reached new heights. And by California Cooler, the real stuff. And by your Bay Area Ford dealer, where you can get hot deals on Hot Wheels. And by the U.S. Army Reserve. Once a month, give yourself a weekend of challenge. Belated good afternoon to you from Memorial Stadium in Berkeley. As you were watching that Ohio State-Michigan game, we were getting underway here in the 89th Big Game between Cal and Stanford. Joe Fonzie with Fred Bassana. Stanford with his second possession of the afternoon. 1st and 10 now on its own 37 as John Pay will go back to pass and find Brian Morris along the left sideline. Pickup of maybe a yard as John Geringer, the outside linebacker for the Bears, made the stop there.
Joe, I think as was illustrated in that first drive by Stanford, what we're going to see all afternoon is we're going to see Brad Muster left, Brad Muster right, and we're going to see John Pay on those short play action passes. He does have the bad shoulder, so I would assume we're going to see him now throwing those nice short high completion percentage passes.
You saw the punt just a few moments ago. Thomas Henley was an injured player for Stanford on the punt return. Henry Green, a wide receiver, has taken his place, and he's out wide to the right now with Jeff James in a slot. As the Cardinal gives it to Muster, and he will get no gain out of that play, maybe a loss of a yard, as Natu Tuatagaloa makes the stop for the Bears. That first drive for Stanford was a big one in terms of giving Cal some hope in this ball game. The Cardinal moved the ball rather methodically right down the length of the field with Brad Muster. Completed a couple of passes. Muster completed the pass on a halfback option to tight end Eric Snelson. But then the Cardinal unable to make a 21-yard field goal, and the Bears still in a scoreless game here with 6:15 to play in the first quarter. 3rd and 10 for Stanford at its own 36-yard line as Pay will go back to pass again. Swings it out to Brian Morris out of the backfield. He'll be stopped well short of the first down as we see a penalty flag on the play.
Kind of interesting, Joe, to watch John Pay there. He knew he had 10 yards to go. Being the seasoned quarterback that he is, I got to believe his arms bothered him just a little bit to see him dump the ball off like that.
Clipping call will go against Stanford, so the Bears will have the option of declining the penalty and have it 4th down right there, or taking it over 15 yards deeper.
On the offense, decline. 4th down.
So the Cardinal will punt it away for the first time today. Doug Robison will punt for Stanford. Robison, the 6'4", 215 junior from Oklahoma City, is averaging 41.7 yards per punt. Has a 65-yarder to his credit this season. As you get your first look at Joe Kapp this afternoon, Kapp coaching in his final ball game as the coach of the University of California Golden Bears. Chris Richards is deep for Cal as Robinson gets a pretty good punt off. Richards inside the 20 and his 18. And stop there. So with 5:32 left to play in the first quarter, it's still scoreless between Cal and Stanford in the 89th Big Game. We'll be back.
Stanford won the very first big Back in 1892, 14-10. The game was delayed because a Stanford man by the name of Herbert Hoover forgot to bring the ball.
Get an idea of the kind of day it is here at Strawberry Canyon in Berkeley. A little bit hazy, but a beautiful day in November for the 89th big game. The Bears with 3 wide receivers in the ball game now, formation that we expected to see them in to start the ball game. Split backs behind Kevin Brown, who will pass on first down, and throws over the middle to James Devers for a pickup of about 6 yards before he stopped there. Walt Harris making the stop for the Cardinals. The weak side safety for Stanford, number 31.
Joe, as we talked about earlier, I think it's important, you know, for Kevin Brown to get off to a good start today. He threw the throwback screen in the first series, came back with a short pass to Devers, and he's 2 for 2, trying to establish a rhythm. If the Bears are to be successful today, he has to have a great day.
He'll pass again on 2nd down and 3. Again over the middle to Devers. That pass in front of Brad Humphries as the Bears move the ball for their best penetration of the afternoon.
Well, here we go. The Bears haven't been throwing the ball downfield much all year. Here we have a 2-deep coverage with Kevin Brown going downfield to Devers, leaps and makes an outstanding catch.
Pickup of 20 yards on the play.
Isn't that fun playing quarterback, taking that shot in the ribs?
You've had a few of those just to... We'll touch on that in a moment as the Bears come out 1st and 10 from their own 47. Powers and Richards, the backs behind Brown, who keeps the ball on the option and is stopped by Dave Wyman, the all-everything linebacker for Stanford.
Boy, it's interesting watching Kevin Brown, Joe. You see him on his front foot there on that ISO. He looks like he's really playing with a lot of confidence. He stepped up, he knew he was going to take the shot, and still delivered the football.
Be a pickup of 3 on the option. It was an interesting thing to talk to both coaches. The Stanford folks want to see Brown keep the ball in the option. They'd rather have him keep it than the pitchman, who they feel are much more dangerous in the person of Mark Hicks and Chris Richards. But Brown will go back to pass on 2nd down and 7, and that ball is broken up by Brad Humphries. The folks here, the Cal fans anyway, would like to see a flag on that play, but it's not going to happen. That's Joe Kapp with his backup quarterback today, Brad Howe. Kevin Brown got the start when Troy Taylor was injured late in that USC ball game last week.
That was really an unfortunate injury for the whole program at Cal. Troy Taylor definitely could have benefited, Joe, from this experience. You know, get into the tradition, the rivalry. Would have been a big, big plus for him.
Jeff Ely now into the ball game as the tight end for the Bears as they go away from that 3 wide receiver set on 3rd down and 7. They give to Richards on a draw, and he's going to be stopped short of 1st down yardage as he gets into Stanford territory. But it's going to be about a 4th and 4 situation. And the Bears now will send the punt team onto the field. One of those situations for Cal today, talking to the coaches from that school, they know they have everything to gain and nothing to lose, and you might see them pulling out all the stops. As Tabor comes out, and Alan Grant is deep for Stanford now after Henley was hurt. Ball will just make it into the end zone for a touchback, and Stanford will take over 1st and 10 on its own 20. A 48-yard punt. We have 3:27 left to play in a scoreless big game here at Memorial Stadium. Stanford with a 1st and 10 to get underway here. 3:27 left to play in the 1st quarter. The Cardinal trying to get something going offensively. Same 2 backs, Muster and Morris, behind John Pay as they give it to Muster, who is out across the 25 to the 26.
Joe, this is an important series for Cal. Should they stop Stanford, in all probability, this is going to be the last time Stanford will handle the ball in the first quarter. All year, Stanford has outscored their opponents in the first quarter by the gross total of 80-3.
That really is an amazing statistic when you think that the Cardinal has not allowed a touchdown in the first quarter all season. Ed McCaffrey now into the ball game, wide to the right for Stanford. He's the freshman wide receiver replacing Thomas Henley, who was hurt. As they again give it to Muster, and a penalty flag, which is in the part of the field where you would usually expect to find a holding penalty. Majette Whiteside to stop for California. That is the call. It'll be holding against Stanford. The Cardinal took the opening kickoff and drove the length of the field rather effortlessly, but then was stopped by Cal and was no good on a 21-yard field goal attempt, and we are still scoreless.
Joe, one of the interesting battles all day today is going to be Andy Sinclair and Majette Whiteside, center versus nose tackle. And on the first drive, Sinclair had the best of it, eating up the yardage with Muster, getting the big gains.
Holding on the offense, forced in the previous spot, still second down.
And since that first drive, Whiteside has seemed to have made some adjustments and now is doing the job on the nose.
Ball back at the 15-yard line for Stanford, where it'll be second down and 15. Cardinal needs to get beyond the 30-yard line for first down yardage. Pay to throw the ball. An incomplete intended for Eric Snelson on the play. Ken Harvey gave him a shot at the line of scrimmage to possibly hold him up a little bit and not let him get into the proper place for that timing pattern correction.
In that kind of set, when they don't have the two backs, Joe, it makes it a little bit tough to pick up that weak outside backer if they decide to stun him. Good defensive call by Cal. I would look for Stanford to, one, either stay out of that set or make an adjustment with that weak tackle.
Kevin Scott into the ball game for Stanford, replacing Brian Morris. It'll be third down and 15. And Stanford will have to get the snap off quickly, as there's only 5 seconds now showing on the play clock, and they just get it off in time as Pay takes the ball out of the shotgun. Goes to James along the sideline, and I don't know if he got the first down. He tried to stretch it out across the 30-yard line, lost the handle on the football. We'll have to see where the official spots it there. He's not going to give him first down yardage.
New little twist out here. They're sprinting John Pay to the sideline. It's going to make him a little bit easier to throw this deep comeback. Nice route by James here. Drives off defensive back, runs the comeback route, but again, didn't quite get enough depth. Cal makes the stop just short of the first down for the Cardinals.
Travis Oliver, the cornerback on that play, made the tackle as Robinson kicks off here, or punts, I should say, at the 30-yard line, where it's taken by Dwayne Jones. And the Bears will have it first and 10 right about at their own 30-yard line. 2:10 left to play here in the first quarter. The 89th big game between Cal and Stanford is still scoreless. We'll be back.
In 1947, Cal's Pappy Waldorf coached his first big game. The 8-1 Bears were trailing winless Stanford 18-14 late in the game before Jackie Jensen threw this touchdown to Paul Keckley. California survived 21-18.
There you see the career standings in this series. Stanford was a 42-36 lead. There have been 10 ties. The last meeting was won last year by Stanford by a score of 24-22. First and 10 for the Bears at their own 30 as they give it to Chris Richards and get some pretty good yardage off left tackle. Go for about 3 or 4, just short of the 35-yard line. We'll call it a pickup of 4 as they move it out to the 34. It'll be second down and 6 for the Bears. Stanford expecting to see Cal option the football. Richards and Todd Powers, the backs behind Kevin Brown. And the Bears in that 3 wide receiver set again as they give it to Richards again across the 35 to the 36. Kurt Kohlhauer, the outside linebacker, making the stop for Stanford.
This is kind of interesting, Joe. I had a chance to visit with Kevin Brown yesterday, and he was just sure that the Bears were going to light up the scoreboard throwing the ball. And here early we have Cal trying to establish the running game.
Now the Bears go with the tight end again as Don Noble reports into the game for California. Wendell Peoples goes out wide to the right. Mike Ford is wide to the left. As Brown will pass it on third down and has the first down to Richards. Walt Harris on the coverage for Stanford, but a first down for Cal across the 40 to the 41.
We have a nice play action fake by Kevin Brown here. We just have Chris Richards right to the flat. Nice job, nice throw.
You said, Fred, when you talked to Kevin Brown that he expected to put the ball in the air a number of times today.
Yes, he did, and I'm really surprised, especially with the 3 wide receiver set. I don't know, Joe, if they're trying to throw Stanford off a little bit and running out of this set or what.
James Devers now in the ball game for Cal. He's out wide to the right. As Brown on play action hits Richards out of the backfield, keeps his feet, and gets across the 45 out of bounds at the 47. Brad Humphreys coming up to make the stop for Stanford. You remember Humphreys 2 weeks ago, the guy who came up and made the hit on Gaston Green in that UCLA game to preserve that win for Stanford. But a big pickup for California on that play. Looks more like about 6 yards. We'll call it second down and 4. The ball at the 47 of the Bears. Devers wide to the right now for California, with Peoples wide to the left. And they give it to Todd Powers for the first time, who crashes up near first down yardage. Chris Weber making the stop for Stanford. That one's going to be very close to first down yardage, and the officials will come out and measure that one. We started to touch on this a few moments ago, that the two teams were very contrasting in whether or not how they felt about Cal running the option. Stanford said that they liked the fact that Kevin Brown was going to be the quarterback because they don't think he handles the ball quite as well or runs with it quite as well on the option. They were going to try to take the pitch man away from him. As you see, the measurement good for the first down. Cal, on the other hand, said they like the fact that Brown is running the option because he's more experienced at it than Troy Taylor, who was before, who was only a freshman.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you, again, you have your contrasting styles there of thought, and personally, I'd rather have the great athlete running that option, with Troy Taylor, his athletic ability, than I would Kevin Brown.
3 wide receiver set again now for Cal as they pitch it out to Richards, but this time Stanford has that play figured out well as Humphreys comes up from his safety position to throw Richards for a loss.
Stanford is not third in total rushing defense in the Pac-10 for no reason at all. Here Cal goes to a slot formation. They don't have enough men to block the Stanford defense.
They talked about that 3 wide receiver set. You saw it there as they had all 3 wide receivers over to the left and tried to run the pitch man that way. And time has expired here in the first quarter. The 89th big game is still scoreless between Stanford and California. We'll be back after this.
Heroes, Saturday at 7:30.
Back at Memorial Stadium, there you see the amount that last first down was good for, just the nose of the football. And I look there at the Stanford band, who got to make an appearance here today. Was in some question at one time. Second down and 15 for the Bears, back in their own territory again as Brown throws complete to Devers. Devers gets away from the first man and is now open down the sideline across the 30, down to the 25. Walt Harris finally making the stop along the sideline.
Here, Joe, you have Kevin Brown, a play-action pass on that fake draw. We have James Devers running an outside curl. He just makes a fine individual effort there, breaking a tackle, getting outside to the sideline.
You saw Wendell Peoples on the corner of the screen there come back and throw a block also. That enabled Devers to get a little further down the field. It's 1st and 10 now for the Bears at the 25. And they've got something going here. Brown to pass on first down, has all day in the pocket. And finds Peoples at the 15, down inside to the 11, where it's a 1st and 10 for California, but a penalty flag on the play, and we'll await the call.
Tell you, anytime a quarterback gets that kind of time, here we have Peoples doing an excellent job finding the open area. And I think we're also going to get a late hit on Kevin Brown, so the Bears could be in good position here.
Well, you see Brown falling back into the pocket there, and he just has all day to pick out his receiver.
Oh, there it is right there. Face mask in the chest.
Flipping on the offense. We'll play it down over. First down.
Offsetting penalties, Mark Hicks now into the ball game for Cal, the sophomore running back who was so heralded after his freshman year but has seen only limited duty recently anyway.
I tell you, Joey, we have to really be impressed so far with Kevin Brown. He looks just really superb. 6 for 7 today, 77 yards. He looks strong in the pocket. He's on that front foot delivering the football. He's got to have a big day for the Bears to be successful.
1st and 10 for Cal as they replay the down from its own 25-yard line. Two backs, Hicks and Powers behind Brown, who will throw on play action. Intended for Hicks and on and off his fingertip there. Brown takes a good shot again at the end of this play.
Joe, they're coming with this counter option pass. They ran it early in the first quarter with success to Richards. I'll tell you, it's going to be a long day for Kevin. He keeps getting those shots.
We were talking, as a quarterback, that's got to be one of the, well, that play was a blindside play, but when you see a guy coming out of the corner of your eye, know you have to stand in there in the pocket and take a shot. That's got to be one of the toughest things to do, really.
Well, it's not one of the highlights of the job, that's for sure.
2nd down and 10 for California. Mike Ford now wide to the right as the Bears again go with the 3 wide receiver set, 2 receivers to the left. As they give it to Hicks. And Hicks with a bit of running room up near the 20-yard line inside the 20 to bring up a 3rd and 5 situation for California.
I think that's the Mark Hicks right there, Joe, that we came to know last year and has been missing this year. He's been real hesitant running inside, seems very indecisive. Right there, hey, there was a small hole, took it up inside, squared his shoulders, got a nice gain out of it.
You saw Hicks' numbers just a few moments ago on that graphic. Nothing like the numbers he ran up his freshman year. 3rd down and 5 now at the 20-yard line for the Bears as they go with the tight end set now with the 2 wide receivers. And they give it to Hicks, and Hicks is going to be stopped short of the 1st down.
Just a great play by Dave Wyman. He is just all over the field. He starts into his pass drop right there, reads draw, comes back up, makes a textbook tackle.
So Leland Ricks will come in for California and attempt the field goal. Ricks, an interesting story. And field goals, he's 11 of 15. On extra points, he's only 6 of 9. So get him out there and give him some distance, and he seems to be a little more successful than from the extra point range.
The 2 kickers for both Stanford and Cal have had very interesting seasons.
They'll mark this down at the 24-yard line. It'll be a 34-yard attempt for Ricks. He boots a long drive that makes it through. So California has drawn first blood here in the 89th big game. 13:06 left to play in the first half. It's California 3, Stanford nothing. We'll be back.
10 big games have ended in ties. The last deadlock came in 1953, a 21-21 draw at Stanford Stadium.
Tightwad Hill, as you get a look at the people who have decided they want to watch this ball game in person but don't want to buy a ticket.
Yeah, the monetarily sound up there.
It is kind of a long ways away, but you can see the ball game and get the feel as if you were there. Might be a good place to go and bring a radio or a television also. California with a 3-0 lead. It's the first time they've led in the big game since late in the first half in 1984. Leland Ricks will kick off for Cal as Alan Grant and Kevin Scott are deep for Stanford. Again, the Bears show that shift over toward the left side as if they might attempt an onside kick. They did that to begin the ball game, but Ricks kicks it deep to Scott, who takes it at the 9-yard line. Has some running room and now gets out across the 35 to the 36. Leland Ricks, the kicker, had to make the stop that time. That last scoring drive for California, 10 plays, 70 yards, used up 4 minutes and 4 seconds of the clock.
Joe, I got to believe that Cal has a lot of respect for Stanford's return game as they tried, one, the short push kick, and then also they're trying to kick deep to a corner, trying to get as many men as they can to cover that kick.
1st and 10 for Stanford at its own 37-yard line. As you get a look at John Pay, 9th in the nation, averaging over 20 completions per game. Stanford trailing 3-0 as they send Muster in motion to the left line. Pay has all day to throw on first down. Now will be flushed and brought down for a loss by Ken Harvey.
Oh, interesting look right here. You can get an idea the pass protection there on Ken Harvey. Throw the ball, just unable to find anyone downfield. It's tough to protect forever.
Got to give the California secondary some credit that time, because Pay really did have time to throw but could not find an open receiver. Loss of 7 on the play, 2nd down and 17, back to the 30-yard line for Stanford. Mustard, the lone running back behind Pay now. And Taylor go back to pass once again. And incomplete for Jeff James, and there was some contact over there. And Gary Hine will be called for pass interference.
I think you're going to get a left arm just kind of in the field of play here when it should have been on James. Hine makes a nice move. Oh, that was a close call.
Well, he was riding his left shoulder there before the ball got there. Not really too much doubt about that one, but Joe Camp certainly doesn't think so.
I'm not sure Joe quite agrees with that call, Joe.
If you thought Joe wasn't going to be emotional about this game in his last game as Cal coach, that pretty well says it all.
You don't think Joe's asking him about his heritage or anything like that, do you?
Report from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
First down for Stanford as the Cardinal now has the ball at its own 45-yard line. Eric Snelson coming out of the ball game, the tight end for Stanford.
What do you think, Joe? I don't know. Maybe he was driving through that left shoulder.
I think that was a pretty good call, actually. There was definitely contact before the ball got there. 1st and 10 as they give it to Mustard, who has a bit of running room, but is stacked up short of the 50-yard line. David Ortega, the inside linebacker for California, making the stop there.
I'm somewhat surprised by the toughness of Cal's defense. I think we expected the great defensive game from Stanford, but Cal's risen to the occasion.
Well, the first series, which happened before we were on the air, actually, when Ohio State and Michigan were still playing, Stanford moved right through Cal rather easily.
Yeah, literally at will.
They got no points out of that, and Cal has stiffened since then. 2nd down for Stanford as they pitch it out to Mustard again. He gets up near the midfield stripe, but will be stopped just short of it. And Majette Whiteside makes the stop for California. The Bears said 1st down was the key play for them. They wanted to limit the yardage that Stanford picked up on 1st down. They knew the Cardinal would be trying to go to Brad Mustard as often as possible. Pickup of a couple of yards on that play. It'll be 3rd and a long 5 for Stanford. The ball just short of the 50-yard line.
Stanford hasn't quite gotten Mustard in the full swing of the offense yet as far as pass receiving goes. I believe they got to get him into the flow just a little bit more.
Shotgun formation now as Pay takes the snap and has all day to find a receiver. Now swings it out to Mustard, incomplete. Mustard was open pretty much from the inception of that play. He wasn't going to be good enough for 1st down yardage. Pay looked off him a couple of times but couldn't find any other receivers to throw to.
Yeah, he was trying to get to Jeff James running a comeback down around the 30-yard line. And I think if he'd have dumped to Brad early, Mustard might have been able to turn it up for a 1st down.
So again, the Cal defense holds, and Stanford will have to punt it away. Doug Robinson in the punt for Stanford, and Dwayne Jones back deep for Cal will stand at his own 10-yard line. Robinson, a very good short punter. Let's see if he can keep the Bears down deep in their own territory, which is what he'll be trying to do. Jones decides not to go for the fair catch and gets nailed. They'll mark it at the 6-yard line, and that's where Cal will take over 1st and 10. With 10:36 left to play in the first half of the 89th big game, it's California 3, Stanford nothing. We'll be back. There you see some of the near capacity crowd here at Memorial Stadium in their blue and gold and red and white, as both sides well represented here at Memorial Stadium. Cal with a 1st and 10 on its own 6-yard line. Gives the ball to Chris Richards. A couple of scores there. You see 2nd-ranked Penn State, a 34-14 win over Pittsburgh. That making that Fiesta Bowl matchup seem like more of a reality between Miami and Penn State. Nebraska and Oklahoma tied 7-7 in the 2nd quarter. Second down and 7 for Cal at its own 10-yard line. As Brown on play action will roll to his left. And there to make a good defensive play is Tony Leiker for Stanford.
Leiker makes an excellent play there, Joe. I'll tell you, he took the proper angle on Kevin, didn't allow him to get his shoulders around to make the pass to James Devers open on the sideline.
The Stanford coaches really like Leiker. He's a 6'5", 250-pound senior who they say never stops. He makes plays 50 yards downfield and makes plays at the line of scrimmage. He just keeps plugging away, and they say that he never stops going from first quarter to fourth quarter. Third down now for Cal at its own 10-yard line. A loss of 1 on that play, as Brown will pass it again. And the pass is intercepted by Kevin Richardson for Stanford. No, now it's incomplete. Boy, he had it in and out of his hands. Wait and see what the officials say. I thought Richardson had it. Now they say California possession.
Kevin never sees Richardson going. He's going from curl to flat, never sees him.
Devers stripped that ball right away from him.
Great play by Devers.
Richardson had it, and then James Devers grabbed it away from him on the way down. That's a heck of a play by that wide receiver to get in there and take the ball away from the inside linebacker for Stanford. And now it's a first down as well, as possession had changed on that play. So a break for Cal there, 1st and 10. At its own 16, as Brown goes back to pass line all day. And has Peoples 30 down inside the 25-yard line. It's Mike Ford, not Peoples, number 2 for the Bears. We have Ford on a straight go route. They have 2 deep coverage. The safety never gets to him. Kevin Brown off play action makes a great throw. It doesn't get any better than this. Great throw and catch. Put that one right on the money. The thing that made that possible is you look at all the time that Kevin Brown had to throw back there. He stood in the pocket, threw the ball out there as far as he could, and it was right on the money to Ford. One of the things, Joe, the Cal coaching staff was happy about with Kevin Brown is that he is a downfield thrower. He will go with a perimeter game. That's just an example of it right there. First and 10 now for California at its own, or at the 22-yard line of Stanford. A 61-yard pickup on that last play as they go to Chris Richards, and he's tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Chris Webber making the stop for Stanford. The thing that where Brown has had his problems in the past, they like the way that he can throw the ball, but he has been known to be inconsistent. He'll make 4 or 5 good throws and then throw one right at a defender. Nothing wrong with that throw, no matter who you are. Put that one right on the money to Ford. Loss of a yard on that last play. 2nd down and 11 now for California. Brown again on play action and throws to James Devers, who makes the catch. No, now they're ruling he was out of bounds. Toy Cook on the defense for Stanford. See if we can get a look at that one along the sideline there. We have a great matchup there, Joey, with Toy Cook, who was honorable mentions Football News All-American, and James Devers, who seems to have come of age the last 3 weeks. Had the big day last Saturday against USC, and today he's all over the field. 3rd down and 11 now for California, as Peoples and Devers come out wide to the left, pushing the wide receiver to the right. And again, Brown will pass. Look out. Devers is open at the 10, inside the 10, down near the 5. Here we go again, Joe. It's on that reverse counter option. Kevin Brown keeping his wits about him. Finds James Devers. Just an excellent individual effort on the sideline. James Devers seems like he came to play today. Another thing that made that play happen was the mobility of Kevin Brown. He sees, maybe senses Chris Webber coming up from behind him there, steps up and finds Devers open. The Bears seem to be playing right now the way people suspected they might play all season, as they are charged with emotion and doing a lot of things right. We have a timeout on the field. 7:18 left to play in the first half here at the big game. It's California 3, Stanford nothing. We'll be back.
In 1956, Stanford's Lou Valley set a big game record with 209 yards rushing. But Cal sophomore Joe Kapp ran for 106 yards, and the Bears sent Pappy Waldorf out a winner, 20-18.
Back at Memorial Stadium, California, 1st and goal at the 5-yard line of Stanford. There you saw Kevin Brown's numbers. On play action, Brown will roll right. The pressure is on. And he throws a touchdown to People. What a catch by Wendell People. Troy Cook was with Peoples all the way. Pretty good defense on that play, and Peoples just went up and took it away from him.
Kind of an ill-advised pass, really, from Kevin Brown to Wendell Peoples. Troy Cook is all over in perfect position. Kevin throws it the only place he can for a completion. Peoples just makes an acrobatic catch. That's sensational.
Cook was in perfect position, really, from the defensive standpoint, as Ricks will come in to attempt the extra point. And it is good. 7:13 left to play here in the first half of the 89th big game. Could be a big upset in the making. California 10, Stanford nothing. I guess you'd have to call this gut check time for Stanford right now, trailing 10-0 midway through the first half, or the second quarter, I should say. 7:13 left to play in the first half. Cal leading by a score of 10-0. Leland Ricks to kick off for Cal, as Alan Grant and Kevin Scott are back deep for Stanford. Ricks with a deep kick to Grant at the 1-yard line. And he'll get out to the 20, and that's about all, as he'll be brought down at the 21-yard line. That last scoring play by Cal, 93 yards in 8 plays. Used up 3:23 on the clock. The long play, of course, was that 61-yard completion from Kevin Brown to Mike Ford. And that was the longest pass play of the season so far for Cal.
Well, I'll tell you, Kevin picked a heck of a time to throw it, no question about that.
1st and 10 now for Stanford at its own 21-yard line. Let's see what the Cardinals made of here. Jeff James out wide to the left, McCaffrey, the wide receiver, to the right. Pay will pass on 1st down. He will run forward and get a little beyond the line of scrimmage. Don Geringer making the play there to force him out. You know, Stanford has rarely been behind all year. You mentioned that 80-3 deficit in first quarter scoring as we compare the two quarterbacks' numbers there.
Kind of an interesting comparison there. I think if anybody would have been thinking what that comparison would look like before the game, we thought it might be reversed. It's a heck of a day going for Kevin Brown.
McCaffrey again wide to the right for Stanford. James wide to the left. Mustard, the lone running back behind Payne. As he passes quickly to James, he has 1st down yardage across the 30 to the 35-yard line. Darryl Stallworth and Gary Hine making the stop for California, but it's a 1st down for Stanford.
Joe, this is an important drive for Stanford. Should the Bears score again, they're going to get in a situation where John Pay is going to have to throw the ball 40 times. And I think with his shoulder, that's the last thing that they want to do. They want to throw the short stuff, run Muster. That's how they think they can beat Cal. Very big drive for them.
2 wide receivers to the right now for Stanford. Again, Mustard, the lone running back behind Pay. They'll pitch it out to Mustard, trying to find some running room, and bangs across the 35. Picks up a couple of yards, but Steve Hendrickson makes the stop for Cal. Stanford has, as we said, rarely been behind this year, and that is a factor with Payne. With the sore shoulder, he had surgery back in the spring, had a cortisone shot this past week, and even though Stanford has had 2 weeks off to rest up for this game, Pay is hurting when he tries to throw the ball, no question about that. Pickup of 3 for Muster on the play. 2nd down and 7. The ball at the 38-yard line. Here comes the pressure again as Pay gets away from one man.
Nice.
And now, how did he ever get out of that? He's up to the 40, to the 45-yard line, and near 1st down yardage.
Is that a weapon to have in your backfield with that kind of mobility? That's sensational.
But Jet Whiteside, the nose guard, finally made the stop on Pay 10 yards downfield.
I think there's some pro scouts in the stands just getting pretty excited about this young man.
Darryl Stallworth was the first guy who had a shot at him blitzing from his safety position. Actually had a second shot at him there. And Pay managed to do a Houdini act and get away from that pressure and is up near first down yardage now.
I've never had a chance to see him play basketball, but I can see why he's an awfully good point guard.
They'll bring the chains out to measure and see whether or not Pay picked up first down yardage on that play. He ran about 30 yards all in all in the play, but it's going to be about a half a yard short, maybe 6 inches short of a first down. You see the Stanford band there. Did you notice when they came out on the field today, they were all wearing halos, the perfect angels that they are.
Well, they have quite a reputation to live down, I guess would be the right word there.
Were reinstated after not being able to appear on the field or go at all. I guess no one was at the UCLA game a couple of weeks ago.
They have built themselves quite a legacy over the years.
Third down and less than a yard now for Stanford as they go with a couple of backs behind Pay. And big surprise there. They give it to Muster, who picks up the first down across the 45 to the 47.
Joe, I think we get an idea why Brad Muster is an All-American halfback. Look at the great leg drive there. And no hole. That's just all on his own.
Talking to defensive coach Rod Marinelli of the Cal Bears, and he said the thing that most impresses him about Muster is he never falls backward when he's tackled. He always falls forward and picks up that extra yard and a half or so. First and 10 now for Stanford at its own 47. And Pay will go back to pass on first down. Has all day to find Eric Snelson, his tight end, who is up near first down yardage as well into Bear territory inside the 45. Nickerson and Pat McDonald making the stop for California.
Nothing more than a tight end delay, Joe. And this is what I think we expected from the Stanford offense. Muster, then the short stuff. Snelson just on a delay right over the middle. Pay looks downfield, looks him off, comes back to him underneath.
Pickup of 9 on that play. It'll be second down and 1. They've used that play to Snelson a number of times this year, a couple of times for touchdowns. Give it to Muster, who drives forward and should have first down yardage near the 40-yard line of Cal.
Good news for Brad Muster this morning, Joe, and also Stanford University. He was selected to the first-team Kodak All-American team, which is selected by the Football Coaches of America. It's got to be quite an honor for the young man.
Joe Nelms left the field for Cal on that last play as he was shaken up slightly as we see him head over to the California bench. Joel Dixon has replaced him as the right defensive tackle for California, number 99. As Pay goes straight back to pass on first down, again has all day and will run it across the 40 to about the 38-yard line before again nose guard Jet Whiteside makes the tackle. And now Whiteside appears to be down on the carpet here as well.
That's interesting, Joe. Cal's made a defensive switch up front. They've taken Jet off the nose and moved him strong to try to negate some of Muster's strong side running game. That'll be a big loss for the Bears.
Eric Howard will come in to replace Whiteside as the nose guard as Majet is being attended to here on the AstroTurf at Memorial Stadium. When you were playing here, Fred, it was grass. 1976 and 75 seasons.
Here we got to look at what's going to happen to Jet Whiteside. He's going to take a knee right, well, looks like either a thigh or a knee in the head from John Pay, and as good as those helmets are today, you take that take that knee in the head, it's tough.
It can make you not know exactly which sideline to go to for a second or two there. But Majet looks like he'll be back in shortly. Pickup of 3 on the play for Pay. It'll be second down and 7 now for the Cardinal as the ball is at the 39-yard line of the Bears.
It's interesting, Joe, you were bringing up about the AstroTurf versus the grass field. And I really think Memorial Stadium's lost some of its aesthetic value, but again, I guess when economics become involved in limited space, then the athletic department had to make the decision to go to the turf.
We'll call it 2nd and 8 for Stanford. As Pay goes straight back to pass again on 2nd down. Again, the pressure is on, and a throw intended for James. Incomplete, but broken up by Gary Hine. And again, Hine looked like the person in best position to make that catch rather than the intended receiver.
Well, some days, Joe, you just got to throw it to the guy that's open, but I'll tell you, Jeff James makes a great play here to strip Gary Hine of the ball. Excellent defensive play by Hine, and a good defensive play on the reverse side by James, not allowing him to catch.
Well, that's what they tell the receiver, is if you can't make the catch yourself, make sure that the other guy can't make it as well, and that's what James had to do that time. There you see the 3rd down conversion. Stanford only 1 for 5. 3rd and 8 now for the Cardinal. As Pay will pass once again. Here comes the pressure. He doesn't see it, and he'll go down for a sack. Natu Tuatagaloa coming from the left side. He looped around there and was able to get to Pay and throw him for a loss.
Again, John Pay downfield. The Bears secondary having a fine afternoon. Can't find anybody open. And there's Natu.
That sets up a 4th and 16 situation for Stanford now, as Robinson will come in and punt it away once again. A frustrating first half for Stanford and John Pay so far. Robinson, the last time he did this, pinned the Bears down deep inside the 10. And this time he will kick it into the end zone. Dwayne Jones was back on the coverage for Cal, signaled for a fair catch, but then let the ball go into the end zone. And the Bears will take over 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line and get a fine ovation from this, probably 2/3 of the house here is California fans. Everybody on the north side, you see a lot of red down in the south end of the goal here, where there you see the division as we went from red to
really
blue and gold there.
Certainly is a contrast, isn't it?
1st and 10 for the Bears on their own 20. 2 wide receivers. Now they're going with 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. As the pass is intercepted by Humphreys. He wanted to go to Peoples, did Kevin Brown, but Humphreys, with a good defensive play that time, comes up with the interception. And now Stanford with excellent field position right at the Cal 25-yard line.
This is a nice play by Humphreys. He's going to flat all the way. Makes a diving interception. Here, Joe, we see the problem that has plagued Kevin Brown throughout his career. The first 28 minutes of the first half, he's been just totally sensational. To come up and to make a critical error.
They'll actually mark it at the 28-yard line, where it's 1st and 10 now for Stanford. And they pitch it out to Muster, who's looking for some running room around the right side. Doesn't get much. Cal right now is defensing Muster about as well as anybody has all year. He kind of cruises around out there until he spots an opening and then accelerates to the opening, but unable to find much that time, as it's a pickup of only 1, 2nd down and 9. Henry Green wide to the right for Stanford. Jeff James wide to the left as Pay rolls to the right. And he has Eric Snelson complete there. That pass was close to being intercepted. A penalty flag on the play back in the Stanford backfield as well.
In the vicinity of holding, Joe.
The Cardinal walking backward as they anticipate this call going against them. That ball was close to being intercepted and then complete to Eric Snelson, but it will come back.
Yeah, observing John Pay so far this afternoon.
On the offense, in course in the previous spot, still 2nd down.
He certainly seems to have good velocity. I'm surprised they're not going downfield just a little bit more. Right there when he had to get the ball into a crack, he reached back and got the velocity. I expect to see him go downfield a little bit more.
All the way back at the 37 for Stanford. It's 2nd and 19 as they go out of the shotgun now. And Pay swings it out to Brian Morris. He gets inside the 35, down near the 30. Got back a good portion of the penalty yardage that time. But we are winding down the first half here. Just coming down to the 1 minute mark left in the first half as California with a surprising 10-0 lead, and now timeout on the field. Stanford calls for timeout, so the Cardinal stopping the clock now with 59 seconds left to play in the first half. Stanford wants to get some points on the board here before halftime. They'll have a third down and about 13 to go. If nothing else, they would at least like to get the ball into the part of the field where they can kick a field goal before halftime.
Right, if nothing else, Joe, they need 5, 6, 7 yards to get into field goal range to get something on that scoreboard, so it brings them back to only a touchdown down.
A reminder that tomorrow morning the 49er action starts at 9 o'clock with Wayne Walker's 49ers preview. Then at 12:30, Brent Irv and the Greek bring you the NFL Today. And it's the 49ers against the Falcons at 1 o'clock right here on Channel 5. Also, don't forget that after this game, you'll see the tape-delayed broadcast of the Arizona State game. We won't give you score updates on that one, so that if you want to watch that one as if you're watching it for the first time at 4 o'clock, you'll be able to do so. Not much mystery there anyway, because Arizona State's going to the Rose Bowl. A real contrast, you saw a quick shot of the Cal band there. I saw you, Fred, getting, that got your blood up a little bit when you saw those guys come out in the field, an old Cal guy.
Well, I'm a little sentimental to those Cal band members, I'll tell you. We may not win them all on the field, but the band hasn't lost many over the years.
Third down and 3 for Stanford. 59 seconds left to play in the half. Third and 13, I should say. The ball out at the 31-yard line of the Bears. Okay, they roll right. They try the shovel pass. It's an incomplete pass. The Bears jump on the ball, but it's not a fumble. It's an incomplete pass. Hardy Nickerson making the stop there and on the ball for California, but this is a forward pass.
Interesting play, I think, Joe, from that position on the field. You know, sprinting John Pay out and try to shovel back underneath. You know, with the pursuit that Cal's been getting, kind of a strange call.
David Sweeney now will try to improve on his numbers. He missed a 21-yard attempt earlier today. He's now 3 for 13 in the field goal department. They'll mark this one down at about the 38-yard line, which will make it a 48-yard attempt. Sweeney certainly has the foot for it. That one is going to be close, and it is good. Boy, that thing just crawled over the crossbar.
Leave it to the big game. Hasn't made one over 30, and he hits a 48-yarder.
So Sweeney breaks that string and puts Stanford on the board here with 48 seconds left to play in the first half with a 48-yard field goal. The Cardinal wanted to get on the scoreboard before halftime, break the ice, and now they were able to do that. And that, of course, made possible by that interception by Brad Humphreys of Kevin Brown. So that must be a real lift for Sweeney, who's now 4 for 14 in the field goal department, but a 48-yarder here to put Stanford on the board.
That could certainly buoy his confidence, Joe. I mean, if this game stays as close as it is, when we get down to the wire, Stanford may have to call it again.
You see the axe, which is what they play for in this game, and there have been some instances in the past where people steal the axe from its rightful place. That's why those guys have a chain to them down there, Fred.
Kind of a colorful history along with that axe. I guess all the pranks through the years of either Cal or Stanford. Rooters trying to steal the axe from the champion school of the year before.
48 seconds left to play in the first half. It's California 10, Stanford 3. Mark Hicks and Chris Richards will be back deep to receive this kick for the Bears, as David Sweeney will kick it off at his own 35-yard line. Stanford, the 16th ranked team in the nation, coming in today, finding itself down by 7 points, 10-3. Sweeney's kick will come to Richards at about his own 8-yard line. He'll get across the 20, and that's about all, as he's brought down, and penalty flags are down as well. Mike Newton making the stop for Stanford on that play. But we'll await the call of the officials here. Holding call against Cal. Will back it up.
What I imagine, Joe, the Bears are going to be kind of conservative here. Pretty pleased about going into the locker room up 10-3.
There you see what Cal has done on its possessions today. First couple of times it was a 1-2-3 punt situation, but then they scored a field goal and a touchdown.
During the run back, 1st and 10.
The holding moves the ball back to the 10-yard line, just across the 10 for Cal. As you get a look at Brad Howe, who's in at quarterback now for California, number 18. And he gives it to Chris Richards, who's across the 10 to about the 11 or 12-yard line. Fred, that's kind of interesting that in the last series here that they would go with Brad Howe, the backup quarterback, rather than Kevin Brown.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Joe, especially where they are on the field. A new quarterback coming into the game, not sure the center, hasn't had any snaps under fire. That's a little bit strange.
You really start to wonder about the exchange of the snap in a situation like that anytime you have a new quarterback in, and he's coming in to get some action here. But it looks like that'll be the last play of the first half, as we're down inside 10 seconds to go in the half now. And it appears California will take a 10-3 lead into the locker room at halftime, and that's exactly what the Bears will do as time runs out. And I got to think that the California Golden Bears are a very fired-up team at this particular moment, coming in heavy underdogs in this game. We've got one half under our belts here at Memorial Stadium. It's California 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back right after this. That's what they're playing for, the Axe, here in the 89th big game, and California is a surprise 10-3 leader over Stanford at halftime of this 89th big game. I'm Joe Fonzi here at halftime. We'll be back with halftime features, but before we do that, let's turn you over to the Channel 5 Eyewitness News studios for a news update.
Thank you, Joe. I'm Doug Murphy along with Wayne Hagan. This is a special halftime edition of Eyewitness News. They are still cleaning up tonight near Eureka after a strong earthquake hit there yesterday. This was a scene last night in the town of Fortuna. That's about 20 miles south of Eureka. Store owners there boarding up windows, repairing glass that was broken when that quake hit. There are no reports of injuries from that earthquake. It registered 5.2 on the Richter scale. Tonight, entertainer Benjamin Scatman Crothers is dead. Crothers died today in Los Angeles from cancer. Many viewers knew Crothers as the wisecracking garbage man on the TV series Chico and the Man, but his career actually stretched back to the 30s when he earned his nickname doing a fast-talking rap known as scat singing. A march for righteousness taking place in Oakland today. Residents there marching through the streets to take a stand on drugs. Tomas Roman has more on a community that is now working together to fight crime.
These people say they're marching for righteousness. These thousands of Oakland residents say they're tired of drug abuse in their city.
This is going to make us all aware that there are people out here that want to get rid of drugs in Oakland and are willing to come out and do something about it.
And they have come out today. Hundreds of churches and community organizations put together today's march. Songs, banners, and placards all address these people's desire to get their city back from the drug pushers. Organizers of today's event say this area in front of City Hall will be filled with as many as 10,000 people. It'll be such a show of strength and concern that it'll send a message to drug dealers that they're not wanted in Oakland. In Oakland, Tomas Roman, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
And Wayne Hagan joins us. Besides the Cal-Stanford game, a lot of big games around the country today.
A lot of big games in college football today. We'll tell you the Penn State story, which was one of the biggest, right after this. Penn State has done its part to set up a national championship dream game against Miami. The Nittany Lions whipped Pittsburgh 34-14 today to conclude its regular season at 11-0. The Panthers led 7-3 early in the game, but then had to kick off, and Blair Thomas starts a run which would have gone all the way to the Fiesta Bowl. Thomas goes a school record 91 yards, and Penn State never trailed again in the game. Thomas scored 2 touchdowns on the day. Penn State ranked second in the nation behind Miami, which did not play today. Starting quarterback John Schaefer was injured for Penn State, but watch what his backup does. Matt Kisner throws 82 yards to a wide-open Eric Hamilton. The Lions play in the Fiesta Bowl January 2nd. And a thrilling contest for a Rose Bowl berth in Columbus, Ohio today. This is Vince Workman going 46 yards for a score for Ohio State, which would grab a 14-3 lead over Michigan in this traditional Big Ten rivalry. The Wolverines battle back, however. Jamie Morris will go 52 yards here. He ran for 210 yards on the day. And this run led to a touchdown by Morris as Michigan gained the advantage at 19-17. Now Thomas Wilcher will run for a score for the Wolverines and a 26-17 advantage. Ohio State scored once more and missed a field goal opportunity to win the game. Michigan takes it 26-24 and will face Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. Also today, Nebraska has a 3-point lead at the half over Oklahoma. The Trojans and Bruins begin at 3 o'clock. 11th ranked Texas A&M buried Texas Christian today, while Clemson, the team Stanford meets in the Gator Bowl, was held to a tie by South Carolina. Now, last night in the Boston Garden, it was a tough night indeed. The Garden Jinx, the one that has seen opponents fall 43 consecutive times to the Celtics. 135-120 the finals. The Warriors lost. Larry Bird went for 32 points on the night. Now, Bird had plenty of help. The Chief, Robert Parrish, had 19 points and 9 boards and taught rookie Chris Washburn a little bit about baseline play right there. Now, the Celtics make a living off the mistakes of others. With the steal is Jerry Sisting. The victim is Perry Moss. The beneficiary, David Thirdkill, as he takes it all the way for the score. Larry Bird had 32 points, and you are going to see one of his 4, count them 4 3-point plays on the night. The Celtics win by 15. Tonight, the Warriors are in the Big Apple facing the Knicks. Golden State is 5-6 on the year. Now, Cal and Stanford have already completed one athletic event today. The Cardinal water polo team beat the Bears in Berkeley 11-6. Matt Tingler scores here for Stanford, which is a mere 33-0 this season and ranked first in the nation. And this time, Greg Okasak will score for the Cards. Both these teams will play in the NCAA tournament. Some people think this Stanford team may be the best in the history of the sport and collegiate play. And in football, they're going to have to turn things around in the second half.
Yeah, that's it. That is really, I'm surprised by it. Are you surprised?
I'm surprised. I think they're playing basically on emotion, but the Bears coming in had to play with more than emotion. They're playing with a solid defense. They're shutting down Brad Muster and John Pay real well.
The events of today make that Fiesta Bowl matchup the national championship now.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody's looking forward to that. I know the people in Tempe are looking forward to it. They're dishing out a lot of money for that Fiesta Bowl, but they're going to have a huge crowd, a great stadium, and a national television audience.
The Rose Bowl is set now, Michigan and Arizona State.
I think Arizona State's going to beat them. I saw them earlier this year. They're a tough football team.
For those Midwestern teams to go out and play on.
They are.
Okay, Wayne, thank you very much. Let's go to the weather right now. Weather-wise, just another beautiful day. The rest of the weekend looking just as good. Mostly sunny today. Pleasant temperatures, highs today in the mid-60s. And that is it for now from the Eyewitness Newsroom. I'm Doug Murphy as we take a look at some of the temperatures. We'll be back later in the afternoon with another update. Thanks for joining us.
Still halftime here at Memorial Stadium in the 89th big game. California leading by a score of 10-3 as you got rather a hazy look across the bay. Both of these teams wrapping up this Bay Area rivalry here tonight, but Stanford has a couple of games to play still before its season will be over. The Cardinal has to play Arizona next week, and then that Gator Bowl date with Clemson on the 27th of December for the Bears. This is it. But the basketball teams for both schools are just ready to start the season right now. And we'll go down on the field now to Channel 5's Steve Kroner, who has an update on the basketball situation for both teams right now.
Thank you, Joe. Both Cal and Stanford have played exhibition games thus far this month. The Bears and Cards open their season Friday night. Cal hosts UC Davis. Stanford had the unenviable task of facing Georgia Tech in the Richmond tournament. Here now is a preview of both teams, beginning with the highly regarded Golden Bears. California won 19 games last season and qualified for postseason play for the first time in 26 years. The Bears caught some people by surprise last season, but they won't this year. Cal is ranked 16th in the nation by the Sporting News, and the Bears, along with UCLA and Arizona, are expected to contend for the Pac-10 title. Head coach Lou Campanelli is optimistic, but cautiously so.
No one knows this basketball team better than Lou Campanelli. No sports writer, no news media, no polls, nobody. We've got to play up to our potential. We've got to play up to a high level every night, intensity-wise, just to be able to stay on the court with the talented teams in our conference. It's conceivable that we could be a heck of a team and get to postseason play, but not win any more basketball games than we did last year.
The Bears returned all 5 starters from last year's team. Junior center Leonard Taylor, shown here, combines with senior forwards Dave Butler and Jeff Hewling in the front court. Cal's guard tandem of seniors Chris Washington and Kevin Johnson rates with the best on the West Coast. Johnson was bothered by an ankle injury earlier this month, but number 11 says he's just about healthy now, and Lou Campanelli is expecting big things from Kevin Johnson.
I think other than, you know, Kenny Smith from North Carolina or Tyrone Bogues from Wake Forest, he's as quick a player as there is in the country from going foul line to foul line with the ball. So we're looking for a good, solid senior year from Kevin, and we need a solid year from him. And if he has the type of year I think he's capable of, there's no doubt that he will be a high draft choice.
We got a year under our belts, playing under Coach Campanelli and his staff. We saw how well we played last year and to what level we got, and now we know what it takes to get a little further.
Johnson earned all Pac-10 honors last season. So did Stanford's Todd Lichty, and Lichty was just a freshman. He led the Cards by scoring more than 17 points per game. Stanford has a new head coach this season with Mike Montgomery replacing Tom Davis. And Lichty says his teammates have responded well to their new head man.
The team seems to be more together this year, closer, I guess you could say. And I think everybody's pretty happy with the way things are going. Are pretty comfortable with Coach Montgomery's system and his style of play.
Dave Butler's brother Greg will start in the front court for Stanford, along with impressive sophomore Howard Wright, shown here. Mike Montgomery wants to make sure his players don't get too upset over any one particular loss.
Going into the season, I don't see anybody that we can't beat, but there are obviously going to be some people on good nights that are going to give us a lot of problems. Win the games you can, be consistent with what you do best, and play as hard as you can.
California has won the last 4 meetings between the two schools, and Cal has won 9 of the past 10. The Bears and Cards meet January 17th in Harmon Arena and February 22nd at Maples Pavilion. Joe Fonzie and Fred Bassano will be back with the second half of today's game after these messages.
We are about to get the second half underway here at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, where the California Golden Bears hold a 10-3 halftime lead. Joe Fonzie with Fred Bassano back with you. We're going to take a look at some highlights from the first half action. This first one will be one that you didn't see as you were still watching the Ohio State-Michigan game. This was David Sweeney with a 21-yard field goal attempt that was no good as Stanford took the opening kickoff and drove well down the field. Then the Bears got on the board first with a 34-yard field goal by Leland Ricks. That put Cal ahead 3-0, 13:06 left in the second quarter. Now, this was the long pass with Cal deep in its own territory. Kevin Brown with all day to throw, puts one right on the money to Mike Ford, a 61-yard play that gave Cal a great opportunity deep in Stanford territory, and the Bears were able to take advantage of that and later go in for the game's only touchdown of the game. Again, you'll see Brown on play action rolling to his right, and he looks for Wendell Peoples in the back of the end zone. Toy Cook with pretty good defensive position, but Peoples goes up just a little bit higher to make the catch. That made it 10-0. And then Stanford got on the scoreboard with just 48 seconds left to play in the first half on a 48-yard field goal by Sweeney, breaking a long dry spell for him and putting Stanford on the board as they trail 10-3. You get a look at some of the first half statistics. Yards passing, look at that one. Cal with 169 yards to just 62 for Stanford. If anything, as you were saying, Fred, you expected those to maybe be totally opposite.
We sure did, Joe, and I'll tell you, if Kevin Brown continues to play the way he did the first half, Cal's going to give Stanford all they want today.
Things just about even in terms of first downs, with Cal with 7, Stanford with 8. In the individual department, Brad Muster has rushed the ball 12 times for 50 yards. As a team, Stanford has rushed the ball 20 times for 56 yards, so Muster has accounted for all but 6 of their yards rushing. So that's kind of an interesting statistic as well.
And I think the key there, Joe, is that the first drive that Stanford had, Brad Muster got 35 of his 50 yards. So the last quarter and a half, the Golden Bears held them to 15 yards. It's going to be important that they keep that kind of defensive pressure on the Cardinals.
And as you saw, that drive did not net Stanford any points at all when Sweeney missed that 21-yard field goal. Another tough break as far as Stanford is concerned is Thomas Henley was lost on the first punt possession for California. Henley received the punt and suffered a slight dislocation of his left elbow. He's going to be out for the rest of the game. So one of the starting wide receivers is down for Stanford in the person of Henley, and that will be something that will be interesting to watch in terms of Stanford, because the backup people don't nearly have as much experience as he does. Henry Green is a sophomore who has been seeing some time in place of Henley, and Ed McCaffrey is only a freshman, and he also has been playing in that spot vacated by Henley's absence.
It's going to be interesting, Joe, to watch John Pay as the second half gets underway. He needs to go downfield. He needs to stretch the Bear defense a little bit and get the ball to his wide receivers. Everything's been to Schnelson, Mustard, everything in tight. Jeff James has a couple catches, but nothing that's really going to spread anything out and open up the inside for Brad Mustard.
The big receiver for California has been James Devers, who has caught 5 passes for 82 yards. He had a 29-yarder, and then Ford has that one catch for 61 yards, and those accounting for the bulk of Kevin Brown's passing yardage so far here in the first half. Stanford will kick it off to start the second half. They received to open the ball game, and California will send Mark Hicks and Chris Richards back deep to receive David Sweeney's kickoff.
This is going to be an interesting half, Joe. Stanford is so well coached and so well prepared. It's going to be fun to watch what they do to attack Cal this half.
Sweeney with a kick coming down to Richards at about the 7. He stumbles forward, be stopped short of the 20-yard line there. To make the original hit for Stanford was Bruce Richardson. Take a look at some scores around the country today. That was the second quarter score in the Pac-10. Washington State with a 10-7 lead over Washington. There's one of the magnitude this one could be if California holds on for this lead. Oregon with a 21-14 lead over Oregon State at halftime. Number 2 ranked Penn State was a winner over Pittsburgh as the Nittany Lions stay undefeated. As Kevin Brown gives to Chris Richards on the first down here of the second half, and Richards with some good yardage across the 25-yard line. David Wyman finally making the stop, but not before Richards takes it pickup of about 7 yards on that play. Halftime score, Nebraska leading Oklahoma 10-7. There's that big matchup. Michigan a 26-24 winner over Ohio State, so it'll be Michigan and Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. Second down and 3 now for the Bears, as getting up near first down yardage was Todd Powers. Again, Wyman on the stop for Stanford.
That play gives us a great look at Dave Wyman. How he got 139 tackles already this year, was still a game and a half yet to play, and why he was honorable mention Football News All-American.
Got a couple on that play. It's 3rd down and 1 for the Bears. Stanford trying to dig in here and make the Bears punt it away deep in their own territory. 2 backs behind Brown as they send Peoples in motion to the left. And he's not going to get it. That was Richards, and he's going to be stopped short of the first down. He was hit a couple of yards behind the line of scrimmage.
That was some good individual effort. I don't know if he wiggled free to get the first down there or not.
They're going to actually come out and measure it. I thought he was stopped short, but now the officials will come out and measure as he struggled forward for some extra yardage after initially being hit behind the line.
This is a big spot early in the 3rd quarter.
You have to ask yourself now, Cal, obviously, well, they got the first down, so forget the speculation. That was just a good individual effort by Richards, as he was originally hit well behind the line of scrimmage, but managed to struggle forward and pick up that yard he needed for the first down. We are just underway here in the second half of the 89th big game. California holding a 10-3 lead over Stanford. 1st and 10 now for the Bears, as they have that 3 wide receiver set in again, as Brown will go back to pass on first down. Complete out at the 30 and across the 35 to the 40-yard line to Kevin Cushing. That's the first time Brown has found Cushing with a pass. And Cushing has first down yardage, as he made a good play once he caught the ball, Fred.
Just come down, run the inside turn, just a nice possession type reception. 5 yards, makes a nice move inside. Kevin does a nice job coming back to him, knows where his outlet receiver is going to be, hits him right on the numbers.
Well, they'll measure now to see if Cushing picked up the 10 yards needed for the first down here.
Those are the kind of passes that Cal has to throw. If they keep... Well, we're going to have an interesting second down call here.
Well, I just gave them the first down, and they were short. A minute ago, I said they didn't make it, and they did, so maybe I ought to let the officials do the calling on that. But it's going to be second down and less than a yard, and as you say, from a quarterbacking situation, this is the one that you love to call.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. You know, this is a good opportunity for Kevin to air it out. You know, should he not, hey, throw the pass completion, you know, the high percentage pass that gets him in a rhythm, give him some confidence going into the second half.
Jeff Ely is in as a tight end now for Cal as they go with the more conventional 2 wide receivers and give it to Richards, who has first down yardage across the 40 to the 42. Lester Archambault making the stop for Stanford. Archambault, the freshman defensive tackle, but not before the Bears pick up a first down. The thing, Fred, that Cal has done so far that the Bears have not done throughout the years, they haven't self-destructed today. They haven't gone down and fumbled the ball away. They did have the one interception that resulted in the Stanford field goal, but that's been it. First and 10 as Brown will again put it in the air on first down. Throwing for it all. Has Ford out there again, and this one's intercepted by Walt Harris.
Kevin throws the ball a little bit late here. He had the throw early, then he waited too long, tried to throw it. Ball's in the air too long. The free safety gets there to make a nice play.
Looked like he might have expected Ford to continue with that route, too, and when he pulled up, then it was overthrown and intercepted by Harris. And just as I was saying about Cal not turning the ball over, they do turn one over, and Stanford will have the ball first and 10 at its own 10. 12:29 left to play in the third quarter. It's California 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back. Stanford with the interception will have the ball first and 10 at its own 10. And Fred, if you're going to throw an interception, I guess that's not a bad place to do it on the opposing team's 10-yard line.
Well, if you have to, Joe, I mean, that's the place to do it. But it's, again, that turnover is a thing that has plagued Cal all year. They're minus 17 giveaway, takeaway for the season, and usually that's indicative of your one-loss record.
First and 10 for the Cardinal as they give it to Muster, who pounds forward for 2 or 3 yards. Again, Stanford trying to establish Muster as the Cardinal tried to begin this ball game. And the Bears very conscious of the fact that that's what Stanford will try to do, and trying to stack up and play against the run.
Kind of an interesting point, Joe. In football circles, they say the first drive on offense and defense for your team initially in the third quarter dictates how your second half is going to go. It'll be interesting to observe that.
Henry Green out wide to the right for Stanford with James in a slot, and now they send Brian Morris in motion there as well. As Pay wants to throw over to the right side, throws it to Morris. Looking for some running room, gets across the 15 to the 16 before Darryl Stallworth makes the stop for Cal. Again, a short gain for Stanford, which will bring up a third down situation.
Again, Cal's defensive backs doing a good job making John dump the ball off out here in the flat. Again, Morris just gets what he can out of the play.
The Bears have done a good job of keeping all the Stanford pass plays in front of them so far, not letting anybody get deep. And then the question is if Pay can reach them with the sore arm as well. Third down and about 4 now for Stanford as Pay goes back to pass. Throws over the middle to Snelson, and he has the first down before Hardy Nickerson makes the stop for the Bears. Nickerson putting a pretty good hit on the Stanford tight end that time.
Nice play by Stanford. Watch this as Brad Muster will clear out the underneath coverage here. The inside backers, we bring tight end back underneath the coverage. You can see there where Muster cleared out, has a large hole to get the completion.
And now Snelson is shaken up on the play. He did a good job of hanging on to that football because Nickerson put the hit on him right on his hands where the ball was, and he was able to hang on. But now he's down, and we'll take a quick break here with California leading 10-3, 11:04 left to play in the third quarter. We'll be back. Back at Memorial Stadium, Stanford, a first and 10 at its own 25-yard line. As Pay has Kevin Scott and Brad Muster, the backs behind him, and gives it to Muster. Muster bangs forward across the 25 before David Ortega makes the stop When we left you, Eric Snelson was down on the turf. He came off with some assistance and is now on the Stanford bench. He's been replaced at tight end by Jim Price, the freshman from Pine Brook, New Jersey, who got to play considerably early in the year when Snelson was hurt with a sprained ankle. Replaced him for a couple of weeks, and then Snelson came back to assume the starting job. 2nd down and 8 now for Stanford at its own 27, as Pay will once again go back to pass and find Muster out of the backfield across the 30 and up near first down yardage at the 35. And just to note that with that reception by Brad Muster, he now moves into the number 2 spot on the all-time Stanford receiving list. He is still considerably behind Darren Nelson, who has 214 career receptions, but you see Brad Muster moving past Vincent White with 163 career receptions, number 2 on the all-time Stanford career receiving list. Alan Summers, now a double tight end formation in for Stanford. As on 3rd down and 1, they give it to Muster, and he has first down yardage, but a penalty flag in the part of the field where you often expect to see a hold, and let's see if that play comes back.
It's a coaching nightmare, Joe. You get a short yardage play like that when all you want to do is go straight ahead and somebody holds.
And again, an injured Stanford player on the field. It's Andy Sinclair, the center, who is slow getting up. And he'll be attended to. We have yet to hear from the officials about that penalty call, but I do see some Cal players celebrating over there. Hardy Nickerson.
Well, that'll be a blow to the Stanford offensive line. Sinclair, described by the Stanford coaches as easily the best lineman and getting better and better. Only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore. Again, somebody that they expect great things from in the future. Looks like a knee strain of some type, and it's hard to say whether or not Sinclair will come back into the ball game. Guy Bunyard will replace him at center.
Holding on the offense, forcing the spot of the foul. 3rd down.
We're going to say hi to you once again from up here. Give you a look at our vantage point. It's 10-3 California lead. Joe Fonzie with Fred Basana, and in case you missed Fred's introduction, he is a former University of California quarterback from the years of 75 and 76. Also played with the Oakland Invaders and the Buffalo Bills and New York Giants. Been all over, Fred. Holding was the call against Stanford. It's 3rd down and 10 now, back at the 25-yard line, as Pay will take it out of the shotgun. Here comes the pressure. A good job by Pay to get away from the first man, and now throws downfield to Muster. And did he make that catch? No. If he would have made that catch, that would have been the magic act of the day.
That would have been the play of the day. Nice job again, John Pay. Great athletic ability once again. He demonstrates it right here.
Watch him get away from the first man, Ken Harvey.
Sliding out the back door. Trying to make the great play here to Brad Muster. Almost makes a sensational catch.
That would have been good for first down yardage, but Muster unable to hang on with a man in his face there as well. So Robinson will punt it away. Here comes the pressure for Cal, and Robinson just gets it off, as Dwayne Jones takes it for the Bears and will be down at his own 40-yard line. So Cal will have pretty good field position now with a 10-3 lead, a 42-yard punt by Robinson. 8:55 left to play in the 3rd quarter. It's Cal 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back.
Both the individual and team records for points scored in a big game came in 1975. Chuck Muncie's 4 touchdowns accounted for 24 of California's 48 points in the Bears' 48-15 rout.
We're back at Memorial Stadium, where California continues to hold on to its 10-3 lead here in the 3rd quarter. The Bears with a 1st and 10 from their own 40. Movement along the line of scrimmage, but no penalty flags as Kevin Brown goes back to pass, and incomplete as he tried to throw to Chris Richards out of the backfield, but Richards unable to get a foot down inbounds. Chris Webber on the defense for Stanford over there. Stanford, the 16th ranked team in the country coming into this ball game, as you get another shot at the folks up on Tightwad Hill. But the Cardinal, Gator Bowl bound, trailing the Bears by 7 here in the third quarter. 3 wide receiver set again now for Cal as they send 2 to the left, 1 to the right. And they give it to Todd Powers, who's going nowhere. Powers was stacked up on that play by Mike Noble, making the stop for Stanford. So it'll be a second down, or rather third down and a 12 situation now for California. The ball back at the 38-yard line. Cushing goes out wide to the left now. Peoples wide to the right with Devers in a slot to the right. And Brown goes straight back to pass again. Here comes the pressure, and down he'll go at the 35. Chris Webber making the stop. Webber came in with 6.5 sacks for Stanford. So make that 7.5 now.
Very big defensive series there for Stanford, Joe. It seems like they've come back now and established themselves on defense.
Alan Grant back deep to receive Scott Tabor's punt, and the punt is blocked. Penalty flags on the play as well. Stanford recovers the football.
Stanford's offside.
Picking up and running it into the end zone for Stanford is Mike Newton, but that play is going to come back. Even if it were recovered by Stanford, the ball was dead, whistled dead down at the 27-yard line. But now it looks like you're going to have an offsides call against Stanford.
Yeah, we can't quite see it right there, Joe, but the whole middle of the Stanford punt block team is offside.
Tony Leica was the guy who came through and got a piece of that ball.
Here we go.
Looked like the guy who was offside for Stanford was Paul Spatenko, number 91 there, that you could see on the right side of your screen. So a 5-yard penalty now. That will not give the Bears a first down.
Offside on the defense. Still 4th down.
Be 4th and about 10 now, 4th and 9. As again, Tabor will kick it off, or punt it, I should say, to Grant, who will now stand at his 15-yard line. Again, they show movement at the line, but Stanford stays onside, and the punt goes out of bounds inside the 20. So Tabor doing a pretty good job that time, as a couple of players mix it up right about the 50-yard line and then walk away with the arms upraised gesture, as if is happening here. 7:38 left to play in the third quarter. It's Cal 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back. First and 10 now for Stanford as they give it to Brian Morris, and he's going to be stopped after a short gain. Just a reminder, as you saw in that graphic a moment ago, that you won't miss any of the Arizona State-Arizona game, which will be shown on tape delay right after this ball game. That's why we have intentionally not been giving you updates on that one, so you can watch it as if it were for the first time. Penalty against Cal will be called. Looks like a major one against the Bears, and that will move Stanford out of a hole.
A very unfortunate penalty there for Cal, Joe. But again, a little bit too overzealous after the play.
The Bears had been able to keep Stanford in a pretty good hole there most of this third quarter in terms of field position, but now Stanford moves out to its own 34-yard line, where the Cardinal has it first and 10. Pay, the pass looks short and now throws over the middle to Snelson, who's back into the ball game. David Ortega making the stop for Cal. Snelson, who was shaken up a few moments ago in that previous Stanford series, now back into the ball game.
He sure does a nice job of getting open in those little seams between the backers.
Pickup of 6 on that play. It'll be second down and 4 now. The ball across the 40 to the 41-yard line for Stanford. Again, Muster and Morris, the backs behind Pay, as they pitch it to Muster around the right side. A slide opening, but is going to be stopped short of first down yardage by Natu Tuatagaloa. Needed to get to about the 44-yard line, and it's going to be stopped just short of that. So it'll be third down and a little less than a yard now for Stanford.
Biggest play of the third quarter coming up right here.
Not much question about who they'll probably go to in this situation. They come in with a double tight end formation as Jim Price comes into the ball game for Stanford. Price will be the tight end to one side, Snelson to the other. Muster and Morris, the backs behind Pay. And Muster struggles forward. Looks like he might have stumbled across for first down yardage. It all depends on the spot here. Now the officials aren't even saying any question about it. They're raising up the fourth down marker already.
Here we have the workhorse, Brad Muster. Nowhere to go. He had great penetration up front by the Golden Bears.
Trying to see who made that stop there. Somebody coming from the right side of the defense. I couldn't really tell who it was, but it was excellent penetration by the Bears. And Stanford's going to go for it here on fourth down and less than a yard.
All right.
Pay sneaks and has the first down.
That's sure bringing the crowd into it, huh, Joe? That's great.
Muster, kind of a funny guy to watch run because he always looks like he's hobbling, he looks like he's limping, and then they give him the ball and he breaks loose for 30 yards.
What you call a gamer right there, that guy.
Interesting that the Cardinal would go for it on fourth down this early in the ball game. 5:09 still to play in the third quarter, but trailing by a touchdown, Stanford wants to try to make something happen here. And they do pick up the first down on their own 45. Pay, the pass on first down, complete to James, into Cal territory. The ball popped loose for a moment, and I guess they were going to rule that a fumble because James was able to come over and cover it. Sidney Johnson making the stop.
Getting back to Brad Muster for a minute, Joe, I thought Jack Elway made a pretty astute comment when he started giving the ball more to Muster. He said, it certainly made my play calling a lot easier and a lot better. I got a lot smarter.
Well, the USC game, they almost gave up on the run entirely when they lost 10-0, and there was a well-talked-about session apparently when Muster set in and went into the coach and said, I'd like to run with the ball more. Second down and 2, they give it to Brian Morris, who looks for an opening along the left side, doesn't find it. As the Bears swarmed to the ball that time, John Geringer making the initial stop for California and getting a lot of help from his friends.
Yeah, I think Cal's front three and sometimes front four is confusing Stanford's run blocking scheme just a little bit. They're switching off from the odd man or three-man line to the four-man or even look, and they're getting great penetration and great flow along the line of scrimmage, and Stanford hasn't reacted real well to change their blocking schemes to handle it.
They'll actually lose a yard on that play, so it's 3rd and 3 now for Stanford. Stanford with the ball at the 48-yard line of the Bears. And now John Pay doesn't like what he sees defensively and calls for timeout.
It's real interesting, Joe. I'll tell you, they're going to almost a pro 4-3 look. Linebackers. And Stanford, again, John doesn't like what he sees there, has to call timeout. It is confusing the Cardinals.
A big situation here for Stanford now with a 3rd and 3 as they've made their deepest penetration so far here in the second half. Tomorrow morning, the 49er action starts at 9 o'clock with Wayne Walker's 49ers preview. Then at 12:30, Brent Irv and the Greek bring you the NFL Today. And it's the 49ers and Falcons following that at 1 o'clock right here on Channel 5.
Kind of interesting, Joe, watching Hardy Nickerson go to the bench. You know, certainly a sensational career. It's almost kind of a sad note that he's going to leave the university on such a down note as the season goes. So I'll tell you, several of the people, the players especially that I talked to, hey, it was not win-win for the Gifford, but hey, Hardy's been here. He's tried to be an emotional leader, and they certainly have a lot of respect for him, like to see him go out on top.
Well, at the beginning of the year, they were talking about him as a possible All-American candidate, but the problem with that is you don't have too many All-American candidates on teams that only win one ball game.
That's for sure.
3rd down and 3 now for Stanford. Big play here in the second half. Pay sends James in motion to the right. Muster the lone running back as he'll go back to throw it. Has Muster across the 45 down to the 40 for first down yardage. Again, one of those simple plays where Muster just flares out of the backfield and they find him knowing that he's going to pick up the yardage.
Nice play by John Pay here. You can see his head. He's downfield, trying to find somebody down there. Knows his secondary receiver, Brad Muster's going to be in the flat. I'll tell you, that's not a bad idea, getting that guy the ball some way.
So now Stanford has moved to the 40-yard line of the Bears. 3:25 left to play here in the third quarter. Stanford trailing by 7, 10-3. Buster being replaced now in the backfield and gets a fine hand as he comes off. Kevin Scott now in there with Brian Morris for the Cardinal as they pitch it to Morris, who tries to get around the right corner, and he's not getting much. Nickerson and Harvey making the stop that time for Cal.
Maybe we can get a shot of this, Joe. Watch this pursuit from inside out with Nickerson and Harvey. This is how the linebacker position is supposed to be played. All right, here we go. We got the toss from Pay. You can see Nickerson turns him inside, and there's Harvey to finish. Outstanding work.
Gain of about a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9 for the Cardinal as Pay wants to throw on 2nd down. Has lots of time this time. Now we'll have to roll to his left and maybe get back to the line of scrimmage. Again, excellent coverage by the secondary of the Bears.
Doing a fine job. Really giving John a lot of problem finding those receivers downfield.
John Geringer making the stop along with Joel Dixon for California.
Joe, he's really getting pretty good pass protection. I mean, there's just nobody open for him to throw to. Making the best of it that he can.
Now McCaffrey comes in replacing Green for the Cardinal. They'll go out wide to the right. Jeff James in a slot to the right, and Brian Morris, the lone running back behind Pay. Again, has all day to throw the football and throws to the sideline. A dangerous pass, but the pass is made there. The catch is made there by Morris. I couldn't tell if there was a penalty flag on the play or an orange coming out of the stands. I think it was an orange coming out of the stands.
Nice individual effort here. John Pay's trying to go deep down the middle. He gets double coverage on his wideout. Again, another fine individual effort, and Hardy never saw the ball being thrown. Nice individual effort by John Pay.
That's a big first down when you have a 3rd and 10 situation like that, and the Cardinal able to keep the drive alive by picking up 11 yards on that play.
Nice thing about those two, Joe, is the call comes in from the bench.
Pay on the shovel pass to Muster, and he's going to be thrown for a loss. Tua Tagovailoa right there with him. That's a play that Stanford has used throughout the season.
You know really what the problem was here. It looks like there's just so much penetration that John can't make the little flips. He has to hesitate. He finally gets it to Brad just in time to see not to.
Number of players slow getting up from that pile that time. Muster is limping back to the huddle. There's also a Cal player down. Before we try to identify him, we'll wait and see and get a number for sure. Looks like Majette Whiteside, which would be the 2nd time that he's gone down today. He was taken off the field earlier and came back into play.
What a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon, huh? down on Memorial Coliseum turf.
With this many people watching you lay on your back. This has been a very physical contest. The Cardinal knew they were going to want to come and just pound away at the Bears with Brad Muster. Nobody was fooling anybody on that. California knew it as well. Again, a reminder that you can stay tuned for the Arizona State-Arizona game on tape delay following this ball game. You'll see that game in its entirety as part of our triple header for you here on Channel 5.
Now, this is not good, Joe. The little seatable gurney's coming out, and that's certainly not a good sign.
The Jet being helped to his feet. Whiteside a good one. He's a sophomore. And when he's been healthy, he's been maybe the Bears' 2nd most steady defensive performer all year. But he has been hurt by injuries this year, and again will be replaced by Eric Howard at the nose guard position. Howard, number 79.
You know, it's tough being that young and physically he hasn't matured to his, full final level. And I think you take so many shots at the nose and people coming at you from all angles that you take an unbelievable pounding.
A 2nd down and 11 situation for Stanford now as that shovel pass to Muster lost a yard. And Pay will work out of the shotgun. Again, all day to throw. And now he's throwing for the end zone to James and unable to get him. James was over there, as was Green. Taylor and Johnson on the coverage for the Bears. Again, there was a situation. I think James was open early, and John maybe just didn't have the zip to get the ball out there.
Yeah, it looked that way, Joe. I'll tell you, I was surprised he didn't pull it down and run with it. I thought he was 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball in the first place.
You could see the protection on the pocket just formed perfectly for him that time.
Right.
Was able to step up and get past the pressure. McCaffrey now comes out wide to the right for Stanford as James goes to the left. And Muster in motion to the left. They play to pass it on third down. They throw it to Muster, and he wasn't able to get the ball. He might have had trouble with the sun over there. He was looking right back into the sun, and the Cardinal got the defense it wanted for that particular play, Fred.
Yeah, he sure did. That was a great call, the man-to-man coverage. It just looks like Brad, as he gets right there in the sun, the ball's on him before he realizes, you know, that John has even let it go. Against the incompletion.
He was going from shadows to sun right there as the shadows start to go across the field here. And that might have just blinded him going right into that sunlight.
Fortunate move there for Cal. That was 6 points had he been able to hold on to that ball.
David Sweeney on to attempt a 47-yard field goal attempt. Again, has enough leg, but is well wide to the right. So California able to keep Stanford from getting any points on the board on that drive, and was able to cling to a 10-3 lead here with 35 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Going offensively throughout the day. It's been a struggle for the Cardinal with the exception of that first drive when they moved right through the Bears. Cal will take over 1st and 10 at its own 30 now. Powers and Richards, the backs behind Brown, as he pitches it out to Richards. Tries to reverse his field, and he does have some running room over there, but will be dragged down from behind at about the line of scrimmage.
Very fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage. More times than not, Joe, it seems that, hey, take your losses. Don't put us in any worse field position than we're already in.
We're winding down. 15 seconds left to play here in the third quarter. As again, a player is shaken up on the play. That was Richards, the ball carrier for Cal, who will be helped off now. Richards actually picked up a yard on that play to make it 2nd and 9. Mark Hicks now will replace Richards in the backfield for California. Hicks and Powers now the backs behind Brown. Brown to pass it on 2nd down, throwing over the middle, complete to Devers. And Devers is going to be stopped just short of the first down. Might have been a fumble on the play. And it looks like the Bears have recovered as I saw an official go up with the 3rd down signal.
That was a fumble, Joe. He took a great hit.
And now penalty flags fly all over the place on that pile as they were mixing it up at the bottom of the pile.
Just some guys exchanging pleasantries on Saturday afternoon.
The guys that went to neighboring schools and we'll await that call. There was a fumble on the play. The Bears recovered. Cal lost yardage on the fumble, and then as things were unwinding at the bottom of that pile, penalty flags flew in all directions.
I always thought it was kind of ironic, Joe, when I was here, that you have probably 2 of the finest academic institutions of the world, and they're so emotionally charged over a football game. It's it is really interesting. I guess that's why they call it the big game.
Time has run out in the third quarter, but we'll hear the officials call
We have
now.
offsetting dead ball fouls, personal foul on the defense, personal foul on the offense. They offset. The quarter is over.
You heard it. That is the end of the third quarter. It's California 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back with the fourth quarter after this pause for station identification.
Bear recap Sunday at 4.
3 quarters our history here at Memorial Stadium. Cal hanging on to that 10-3 lead over Stanford. As the Bears have a 3rd down and 4 situation now. The ball at their own 36-yard line. California with 3 wide receivers to the left now. Mark Hicks in the ball game, the lone running back, as Kevin Brown rolls out to the left and hits Todd Powers for the 1st down as he's across the 45 and up near the 50-yard line before Walt Harris makes the stop.
Simply a case right here with the 3 wide receivers. Stanford doesn't have enough defensive men to cover. You get Powers wide open. So you see the clear out right there with Noble. Powers comes open underneath.
After 3 quarters, a look at the stats there. Actually, I should say 3rd quarter stats. Yards rushing, the Bears at 37. Stanford actually outrushed California in the quarter, 64-37, but still trailing by a score of 10-3. 1st and 10 for the Bears on their own 49. Powers and Hicks, they give it to Hicks, and he's up near the 50-yard line mark as Lester Archambault makes the stop. Hicks in the ballgame after Chris Richards was injured on that last series.
Again, Joe, I think we see something right there that has bothered Mark Hicks all year. It's just a little bit timid running inside. The steps get shortened, doesn't quite take it in there with all that he can.
Kevin Cushing out wide to the left now for California. As Brown will go back to pass and looks for Cushing, has him complete for the 1st down across the 40 and then knocked out of bounds by Wyman.
You have to be impressed with the Cal game plan. They're keeping within themselves. You just have a short little turn right here in front of the corner by Cushing. High percentage throw, not making Kevin make that tough decision or try to stick it in somewhere.
They went after Alan Grant, the cornerback that time, who's a freshman, and California said before this game they would like to go to his side. Were successful with it that time to Kevin Cushing. 1st and 10 now inside the 40 at the 38. Look out, Kevin. He gets the pass off, completes the Devers to the 25-yard line. Brad Humphries on the defense. Noble was coming after him from the blind side that time, but he wasn't able to quite get there. You see Devers' numbers, 7 catches now for 99 yards. He has really been coming on strong at the end of the season.
Well, he's certainly going to be something for the Golden Bears to build on here in the future.
Only a sophomore.
Watch for some kind of corner out, Joe, by Peoples up there. He's on the freshman. Might be a nice opportunity to try it right here.
Richards back into the ball game, and he gets the ball as he tries the left side and is going nowhere. Humphries came up to make the initial hit and threw him for a yard loss. Stanford getting to the point in the ballgame now where you start looking at the clock. Down by 7. Clock rolling down to near the 13-minute mark left to play in the ballgame, as you don't have to tell that man about the situation. Loss of 2 on the play, 2nd down and 12. As Brown passes to Mark Hicks, who gets up to the 20, and near 1st down yardage, still on his feet. Has the 1st down to the 12.
Nice call. Nice call. Throwback screen. Kevin Brown sprinting out to his right. Looking the defense off. Comes back on the screen to Hicks. There's nothing wrong with his running in the open field.
Penalty flag on the play, and it looks like that one's going to be for naught as the Bears are marching backward. Nobody questions Mark Hicks' ability to run with the ball in the open field once he
illegal
gets out
formation,
there.
6 men on the line on the offense, still 2nd down.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the spring coming up with the new coach. I think is going to be very important in his career. If he can get some repetitions on some inside run drills and things of that nature, he's got a chance to be one of the great ones.
2nd down and 17 now for California. The ball back at the 32-yard line of Stanford. Todd Powers, the lone running back now behind Kevin Brown. On play action, he'll roll to the right. Looking for someone to throw to. Penalty flags on the play.
You got another holding, Joe.
As Brown keeps it, he is down at the 26. There was a battle back there between Steve Anderson and Ray Huckstein, it looked like. Anderson, the right guard for California. And that was in the vicinity where the penalty flag was thrown.
These are very opportune penalties for Stanford, taking Cal out of field goal range, keep him within striking distance of a touchdown.
California marching backward once again as Stanford is being given the options on this particular play. 12-13 to play in the ball game. It's still Cal 10, Stanford 3. Only touchdown of the game was scored when Kevin Brown threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Wendell Peoples. That was set up on that 61-yard pass play from Brown to Mike Ford. Those have been the two big plays so far of the ball game.
Holding on the offense before the pass was forced from the previous spot. Still second down.
California now going in the wrong direction as the Bears are all the way back to their own 42-yard line after that Mark Hicks play had gotten them down near the 10. So now it's a 2nd and 27 situation for Cal. Long count as Brown goes back to pass. He's in cover and down he goes. That time they came with Wyman. Stanford doesn't do a lot of blitzing, but they said that when they want to change the way the game is going, they might start sending people. So this would be the time we might expect to see that.
Yeah, they brought 6, Joe, and I'll tell you, Cal just didn't have the people there to pick them up.
Well, when they send all those wide receivers out there, you are taken away from your blocking for the passer.
Yeah, you sure are. I'm surprised we haven't seen a little bit earlier, especially when Cal goes into that 4 wide receiver set. They haven't put a little bit more pressure on Kevin.
Now they keep 2 backs in the backfield, but again go with the 3 wide receiver set and no tight end. Brown back to pass again. In trouble again and gets away from the first wave. He'll get some running room, but he has to go a long ways before he was anywhere near first down yardage.
Nice individual effort, though. Made something out of nothing right there.
Got inside his own 40. Where it'll be 4th down, and Joe Kapp is out on the field talking to the referee where he thought there was a possible late hit over here. Let's take a look at it.
I think you might have a little bit of reason here, Joe, to be a little bit upset. Kevin Brown takes an awful good shot, and it looks like it was just a little bit late. Ooh.
Well, they were arguing that Toy Cook had done something late there, but the majority of that hit was on his own guy. He looked like he just kind of threw him down to the ground. But the crowd reacted to it, and Joe reacted to it. Cal will back it up 5 yards and punt it away. That doesn't really matter much in this situation anyway, because the part of the field where they are, they're going to probably punt it in the end zone anyway.
Yeah, probably a smart play. It gives Tabor just a little bit more room to try to down the football.
Stanford has not had good field position throughout this second half. The Cardinals did move down in that last series, but unable to convert when David Sweeney missed a 48-yard field goal attempt. And now Tabor will punt to Alan Grant. Tries for a short punt. Grant signaling for a fair catch and makes the catch at about the 17-yard line. That's where Stanford will take over 1st and 10. 10:24 left to play in the 89th big game. It's California 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back.
49er head coach Bill Walsh was unbeaten in his 2 big games as Stanford's head man. Guy Benjamin and James Lofton here in the Cards' 21-3 win in 1977. Walsh's team romped the next year as well, 30-10.
(10-3), California leading Stanford. 10:24 left to play in this ball game. We're in the part of the game now where Stanford has to be very conscious of the clock. 1st and 10 for the Cardinal at its own 17-yard line. Pay swings it out to Muster on a screen. He gets across the 20 to the 22-yard line before Darryl Stallworth makes the stop.
Joe, at this point in the game, I think we have to wonder just how much John Pay's shoulder injury is affecting the Stanford game plan. They just do not go downfield. You know, and there are some holes. There are some guys coming open. And John seems to be a little bit hesitant in dumping the ball off.
He's thrown the delays to the tight ends. He's thrown to the backs out of the backfield, but they have not thrown much up the field. Kevin Scott into the ball game now for Stanford on 2nd and 5 at the 22 as they pitch it out to Muster around the left side. And again, not much yardage as Darryl Stallworth comes up in his safety position to make the play. California knows that, I think, Fred. They know that the Cardinal is going to try to run the ball with Muster, and they're coming up and saying, we're going to stop the run. We're going to make you try to pass.
They have a lot of people within 4 or 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. They're not showing much respect for Stanford's long passing game, and as the game has gone on, everybody has just creeped up. Not a good note there for Stanford fans, seeing Brad Muster limp off.
Pickup of 1 yard on that play. It's 3rd down and 4 now for Stanford as Pay will work out of the shotgun. Looking for some time, looking for someone to throw to. And he did a great job to get away from some people, but he couldn't get away from everyone. Tua Tagovailoa making the stop, throwing Pay for a loss, and Stanford will be forced to pump the ball away. The clock really becoming a factor now. 8:45 and running left to play in the ball game.
Again, trying to make something out of nothing. He had Schnelson open over the middle, but he felt that he had to flush. Good job of defense by the Bears.
Robinson punting. Jones deep for California. Takes it at his 44 and is right near the midfield mark. And that's where California will have it. Excellent field position, 1st and 10. 8:22 left to play in this ball game. It's Cal 10, Stanford 3. We'll be back. There you see the man who is coaching in his last game as the head man of the University of California. What an upset of great magnitude this one would be, as Chris Richards gets the ball, picks up pretty good yardage into Stanford territory. Chris Webber making the stop. You saw Cap's record in big games, Fred, 2-2. Of course, who will ever forget that 1982 game?
Maybe the greatest single play in college football history.
But in terms of big games, if California were to hold on and win this game, this would really be one that they'll talk about. The year that Stanford came in 16th ranked, Cal came in 1-9.
I tell you, it has some far-reaching implications. Stanford's going to go to the Gator Bowl.
2nd down and 7 for Cal, as they want to run the end around to Mike Ford. Ford into Stanford territory, the 40. Still on his feet, he could go all the way. It's a race to the end zone, and he gets in.
Great call. It's like the Cal players are a little happy.
A 47-yard run for a touchdown by Mike Ford.
It's the same action, Joe, they've been running with that counter option where Kevin's been throwing the ball. They brought Ford back in motion. Did a great block right there. It's a 47-yard scamper.
Cam King made a great block at the beginning of that. Peoples threw one toward the end of it. A 47-yard touchdown run. And now Ricks will come in to attempt the extra point. The kick is good. So with 7:36 left to play in the 89th big game, it's California 17, Stanford 3. We'll be back.
Big game 1979 was another classic. Cal's Ron Coach Emilio bats down Turk Schonert's 4th down pass in the final minute. The Bears celebrated a 21-14 heartstopper.
17-3, California now in the lead after that 47-yard run on the reverse by Mike Ford. Stanford now in a situation where it has to try to make something. You saw the number of plays, only 2 plays in that 50-yard scoring drive. And Leland Ricks will kick it off again for the Bears. Kick it rather short, coming down to Kevin Scott at the 20, and just stopped short of the 30-yard line. And that's where Stanford will have it, 1st and 10. Stanford now in a situation, Fred, where they have to make something happen on this drive offensively.
Well, now we're just going to find out just how good John Pay's arm really is. They've got to put the ball in the air, down 2 touchdowns. This is really going to be a test.
Look at that total yardage stat. Bears 320 yards of offense, Cardinal 162.
A surprise to say the least.
1st and 10 now at their own 28 for the Cardinals.
The crowd certainly has gotten into the game.
Pay to throw it on first down. Out to Scott, who had some running room, but he trips as he makes the catch. Darryl Stallworth making the play. They tried to set up the screen to Scott here on the left side.
In essence, Joe, really the same kind of play, just give it a different look off the roll screen. Still not going downfield.
They lost 2 on the play. It's second down and 12 now as the ball's moved back to the 27-yard line. Clock rolling now, 7 minutes left to play in this ball game as California leads it by 14. Pay to work out of the shotgun. Swing it out to Morris, and Morris gets out to the 30-yard line.
Interesting situation there. McCaffrey wide open coming across the middle, and John elected to dump it off.
Penalty flag on the play as well. We'll wait and see what the call is. Clock stopped now, 6:43 left to play in the ball game. And this will be a major penalty against California, which gets Stanford out of that hole.
Personal foul on the defense, automatic first down.
I didn't catch the call on the foul, but it must have been roughing the passer.
First and 10 now for Stanford out at its own 42-yard line. Green goes out wide to the right now for Stanford. James is in a slot to the right. They'll have Kevin Scott in a wing-back position, and Brian Morris, the lone running back, behind John Pay. Now they send Morris in motion to the left and McCaffrey to the left, so Stanford has everybody in the pass situation there, and they throw it to Morris, but he drops it. They tried that same pattern that they did with Mustard just a few moments ago on the other side when he dropped the one in the sunlight.
How'd you like to be Joe Cap right now? You think he just has a bundle of emotions going?
Probably all kinds of conflicting emotions going on inside his head right now. Second down and 10 for Stanford. And now Pay will have to burn another timeout. That's a costly one. He had to do that earlier in the second half. He should have only one timeout left here in the second half. He might need that one later. 6:33 left to play in the ball game. California 17, Stanford 3. Here you get a look at the comparison between the two quarterbacks. They really have comparable stats in terms of completions and attempts, but in terms of yardage, Kevin Brown with a big lead over John Pay. Second down and 10 for Pay now. And down he goes as Ken Harvey comes in from his outside linebacker position to blindside him and throw him for a loss all the way back to the 31-yard line.
Opportune sack right here again. Stanford in a formation where they don't have him blocked with a running back. Harvey comes clean for the sack. I think it's interesting to note sometimes when an injured player, what impact that has on a game. Since Henley's gone out, they've had to call 2 timeouts because of formation errors or problems with younger receivers that don't have any experience. And it's going to prove costly as the clock winds down.
5:56 and counting as Stanford, seeing its hopes of a 10-win season very rapidly tick away here. As Pay goes back to pass, needs a whole bundle on third down and throws for it all. Has James out there, and James with a superb catch at the 20-yard line. He could go 10. Touchdown, Stanford.
Wow. Holy smoke.
Talk about changing the complexion of things in a hurry. A 69-yard touchdown pass from John Pay to Jeff James. And all of a sudden,
John just lets it fly. And this is not bad defense either. It's just a great effort by Jeff James.
He comes back for the ball as he's with Darryl Stallworth there, and then sees that it might be slightly underthrown, comes back for it to make a great play and catch, and now he'll go in untouched into the end zone. And Stanford will try for a 2-point conversion right now. They're not going to fool around and wait till later. They're going for the 2-pointer. as Pay is back to pass, looking over the middle and has it good. Complete to Jim Price. And that changed the complexion of things.
Say, give credit right here to Stanford's offensive line. Look at John's time. He has time to survey the field. Well, I'm going to run. No, I'm going to let it go. And then the rest is just Jeff James.
With that sore shoulder, that had to hurt to lay that one out there. He gave it all he had.
He's feeling fringe up here.
And then there's the situation of whether or not to go for two, whether to wait till you score again and go for two. The Cardinal ended any doubt about that. They go for it right now, and all they would have to do with a future touchdown is kick the extra point then.
Very interesting decision. Worked out awful well.
I'll tell you, Stanford didn't look like it had any life in its offense at all.
No.
And then they strike like that, and all of a sudden they're right back in this thing, and it'll be a big series coming up for the Cal offense.
And this is great college football at its finest. This stadium's going nuts.
(17-11) now. California leading Stanford.
The red guys are cheering. The blue guys are cheering. Yeah, this is how it ought to be.
Big series coming up now for the Cal offense and the Stanford defense. Back deep for California will be Dwayne Jones.
What's the betting line here, Joe? Do we get an onside kick?
No way here.
Got to kick it deep, don't you?
Yes. Well, it's Richards back there, not Jones now, and he takes the ball at the 12-yard line. Has some running room around the right side. He's up to the 30 and then finally tripped up.
It seems like they saved all the fireworks for the fourth quarter.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be, isn't it?
That's right. This is the big game.
5:30 left to play now, and Cal will try to get something going offensively. Stanford will hope its big play defense can hold the Bears here and try to get the offensive ball back with a good portion of time left on the clock. Stanford, though, remember, only has one timeout, as the Cardinals had to use a couple of them in formation situations. One in the third quarter and now one here in the fourth. 1st and 10 for the Bears at their own 32. Brown gives it to Richard, and he struggles forward for a yard or two. You would have to think the Bears will keep the ball on the ground here now and not take the chance of putting it up in the air.
I would think so. And again, though, if they are going to throw the ball downfield, hey, throw the control stuff, keep it within Kevin's range, making his comfort zone, they can get a first down.
Pickup of 2. It's 2nd down and 8. The ball just outside the 35 to the 34. Cushing is wide to the right. Peoples wide to the left. And hits the running back behind Kevin Brown. He will put it up in the air, and a rather dangerous pass as he throws it out of bounds, pushing the intended receiver, Troy Cook, on the defense there for Stanford.
Great defensive effort by outside linebacker there in Stanford. Didn't go for the play pass, was right in Kevin Brown's face, made him throw the ball high. Joe, you had the feeling before that long play that Stanford was all but out of the game. And all of a sudden, he's stiffing up. He's got a great game going.
3rd down and 8. The clock stopped. 4:47 left to play. Long count by Brown. Wants to throw to Devers. Incomplete. And again, that stops the clock. Stanford will get the ball back with a pretty good portion of time left on the clock.
There again, Stanford trying to make something happen. Bring everybody down on the farm. Doesn't give Kevin a time to get the ball downfield. Great defensive call.
As we said early before this ball game started, 5 out of the last 7 big games here at Memorial Stadium have been decided in the last few seconds, and this looks like this could be another one. Dave Watson is the California player being helped off the field right now for tackle. Scott Tabor will punt it away at his own 20. Back deep is Alan Grant for Stanford. Grant to stand at about his own 22-yard line. And the Bears need Tabor to boom one here. Tabor does have a 78-yarder to his credit this year, which was the 2nd longest punt in Cal history. See if the Cardinal comes with a rusher. Decides to go for the return. They've got the return on. Tabor gets a boomer off as it chases Grant all the way back inside his 10 to the 7. Grant looking for some running room and gets across the 15 to the 16, but that's all.
Well, how about that for a pressure punt?
Needed to get one off, and that was a 58-yard punt with a 7-yard return. In terms of field position, there's probably nobody more critical to a team than the punter, and Tabor showing what he's made of that time when the Bears really needed one.
Junior college All-American at Santa Rosa just up the road, certainly showing his worth in the Cal today.
Stanford now will have to see what it can do. McCaffrey out wide to the left, James to the right. Hey, back to pass. Rolling to the right now, still looking. And throwing for James, who's got the ball out at the 20 to the 21 or 2, and a penalty flag down on the play on the far side over there.
An acrobatic catch on the sideline.
Penalty flag right in front of the Bears bench there.
I was wondering if maybe he went out of bounds and then came back in to make the catch, running that sideline route.
The officials discussing it.
Maybe we can get a view of that. Yeah, we got Jeff on the sideline. Oh, yeah. That's the deal. Out of bounds, come back in, going to be a penalty.
Went out of bounds and came back in, caught the pass. The result is a loss of down, 2nd down.
Good job by our guys to get that one over there on the sideline. You saw exactly what happened. Loss of down, it'll be 2nd down and 10 now for Stanford. Ball still at its own 16-yard line. Henry Green takes the play in for the Cardinal as Ed McCaffrey comes out. Green and McCaffrey have been shuttling ever since Thomas Henley was hurt early in the game and had to leave with a slight dislocation of his elbow. That happened back in the first quarter. 2nd and 10 now. Pay from the shotgun. Looks to throw. Steps up. Will throw for it all again. Has Green out behind everybody and can't make the catch. Taylor on the coverage again for Cal. And there's a situation again, Fred, where Green was out there and it looked like, I don't know if John had enough oomph on the ball to get it out there to him.
That looks just like the ball kind of hangs in the air just a little bit too long. Green does have a step. The ball doesn't quite get there.
Again, a possibly catchable ball as it hit him but went through him. And now we're looking at a big 3rd down and 10 situation for Stanford as the Cardinal still has the ball at its own 16-yard line. 4:01 left to play in this ball game.
Rather large play right here.
A little bit reminiscent of the play that John Elway had back here in '82.
Sure is.
Except that was the 4th and long. But it was in this exact end of the field.
Look out, look
looking
out.
across to James. Oh, what a catch by James.
Oh, my.
What a job to hang on to the ball there. Very Hine on the coverage making the hit.
That young man is something special right there. Jeff James, a junior out of L.A., going to thrill Stanford fans for another year. Takes the shot, hangs on, 1st down. Look out, Bears.
Was in a horizontal position there, being tackled and able to hang on to the ball as he was getting hit. Marshall Dillard now into the ball game for Stanford as the lone setback. Again, they go with a 3 wide receiver set. Now get 4 receivers into the pattern and Kevin Scott, but Pay will roll to the right, still looking, and throws incomplete, intended for Dillard. Clock down to 3:26 left to play in the ball game. California, a 17-11 lead over Stanford. The Jet Whiteside putting the pressure on Pay, a guy that we've seen taken off the field twice today, and he's still back in there, Fred.
Well, heck, he didn't have anything to do, until after the game, so he thought he might as well come back and play. That's good, though, from a Jet and for Bear fans, too, to make sure he's okay and he's back on the field playing.
Now Green goes wide to the right, McCaffrey to the left. James in a slot to the right. Pay again with the lone running back behind him. Now sends Morris in motion as well. Complete to James, who gets across the 45 to the 46.
Bears didn't adjust right there to the 3 wide receiver set. They had James in the slot. They didn't move either a backer or bring a safety over to him. Got an easy completion.
California.
Now an interesting move here for Cal as they stop the clock. With that completion, Stanford was going to burn up some time on the clock before they got the next play off, as James stayed in bounds.
And a critical play, too, being 3rd and 2, maybe 3 yards.
The only thing I can think is that Cal wanted to be just as certain of the defense that it's in to get things straight and not have any confusion out there.
That might have been a good call, Joe, because like I mentioned before, they did not adjust when James went in the slot. So, hey, maybe they're going to talk to their defensive coordinator up in the booth, just figure out exactly what kind of defensive formation they want to be in.
Stanford has only one timeout. The Cardinal has been forced to use one in the 3rd quarter, then one here in the 4th. And that stops the clock. 3:12 left to play. California leading 17-11. And I would have to think that Stanford is in 4-down territory here. If they don't make the first down here on 3rd and 3, that they will certainly go for it again on 4th down.
Yeah, this drive's for all the marbles.
We talked before about the emotions on that man's face who you just saw a few moments ago.
I think they ought to try to put him in the game. Little linebacker position. He might be ready.
3rd down at 3. Hey, looking, trying to buy some time off on the left side. They'll try to run for the first down and is very close to first down yardage, but we'll have to see exactly where the officials spot it.
Oh, he got a bad spot, I'll tell you that.
Hay was looking for that marker along the sideline there that indicates how far you have to go for the first down. I think he thought he had it before he went out of bounds.
His athletic ability is such a plus for that offense. He was a whole step, as you can see right there, in front of the first down marker. Oh, is that a big spot?
They'll bring the chains across from all the way across the field to measure this. It's hard to tell where the relation is, but it is a first down as we see from the official.
Ooh.
Couldn't really see the placement with all the Stanford players standing there in front of the sideline, but you saw the indication from the official that it was a first down. 3:04 left to play. California clinging to this 6-point lead.
Interesting, Stanford's last 2 sort of desperation drives been done, you know, with the number 25 on the bench, so they're proving they're a well-balanced club.
Again, receivers on all sides of the field for Stanford. And Pay will go back to pass on first down. Complete to James, tries to cut back and finds an opening down to the 45 of California before Darryl Stallworth makes the play. Grinding out about 6 yards on that play as they get to the 35-yard or the 45-yard line of the Bears.
I don't expect John to have much trouble with his arm from here on in. I think his adrenaline's probably flowing so much that he's not going to feel much discomfort.
Clock running down to 2:33 left to play. 2nd down and 4.
Single coverage.
Pay will have all kinds of running room, but a penalty flag will bring this one back. Pay was able to run for the first down along the right sideline, but penalty flags flew into the pile there at the line of scrimmage, and you would have to assume a holding penalty at that particular spot.
Yeah, Ed McCaffrey running wide open down the sideline in front of the Cal bench. Just should get a chance to see him. They're singling McCaffrey, doubling on James.
So now Stanford will be backed up on this holding call and will be in a big yardage needed situation once again. Move it back to the 45 of the Cardinals.
Holding on the offense, of course, from the previous spot, still 2nd down.
2:21 left to play. 2nd down and 14 now for Stanford. I'll tell you, you wouldn't want anything less than this for the big game. It's what we've come to expect through the years. Green and McCaffrey, the 2 wide receivers. James in a slot to the left. Play to throw it. Throws over the middle to Kevin Scott, who has the first down across the 40, down to the 38-yard line of the Bears before Hardy Nickerson makes the stop. There's another situation. They just sent so many guys out in the pattern he couldn't cover them all.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they sent the inside, they're going to send both inside backers right here. John just does a great job. Sees the blitz coming, knows he has a hot receiver, gets him the football, first down Stanford. There's where the experience of a veteran quarterback comes into play, Joe.
Clock rolling, 2:05 left to play. The ball on the 37-yard line of the Bears. It's all or nothing on this drive for Stanford here. Hey, to throw it. In trouble. He's going to go down all the way back at the 50-yard line. Tua Tagovailoa. How many times have we said his name tonight?
He's had a great big game.
Timeout, Stanford.
Again, John looking downfield. Going to try to make something out of nothing right here. They had 6 quarterback sacks of an awful good athlete, too.
Joe Nelms was closing in on Pay from the right side. Tua Tagovailoa from the left side. Stanford has used its last timeout here to stop the clock with 1:44 left to play. And now the Cardinal in a second and very long situation as that ball was marked all the way back. There's some guys who might have to give up the axe if things hold as they are today. Right now, anyway.
Not the happiest group in Memorial Stadium right now.
The ball's marked all the way back at just short of the 50-yard line. That's where it'll be second down at 23 for Stanford. They need to go all the way inside the 30 to the 27-yard line of the Bears for a first down. Second down, it'll be interesting to see if they try to pick it up in 2 chunks rather than one long play here.
Yeah, it sure will. And they're in 4-down territory, too, so realistically, they have 3 downs to get to 20 yards. I'll tell you, though, I'm sure happy Jack Elway's making this call instead of me.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you do here? Second and 23.
Find the open guy and get him the ball.
Can't argue with that.
Say, I think the Bears have to double Jeff James in some way.
James is going to slot to the left as Green is wide to the left. Pay rolls that way. Has time, but now it's being closed in. Loose football. Stanford covers it. Ken Harvey was putting the pressure on Pay. And now the clock continues to roll. 1:29, rolling down near the 1:25 mark as the Bears cling to a 17. And it'll be third and even longer now for Stanford.
We're going to run their scramble or flush pass protection. You see Harvey there getting inside the pass protection. Blindside hit on John.
Going without a huddle now as Pay takes the ball in the shotgun, throws it long over the middle to James. Was it intercepted? No, it's incomplete. But again, Stanford trying to go for it all there, all the first down yardage needed, and now they have but one play.
It's an indication right there of John Pay's sore shoulder. He would make that throw on a normal day for him. Just didn't quite have the oomph to get it there.
James was open momentarily.
Timeout, California.
Now the Bears call a timeout. And what that does is it gives Stanford time to talk about this play.
Here we go right here. Ooh. Close play.
The clock shows 59 seconds left to play in this ball game, but it all comes down to one play here for Stanford.
4th and 26. What's this scenario remind us of?
If second down and 23 was hard, 4th down and 26 is a heck of a lot harder.
Say, if they make this first down and kick a field goal, I'm leaving the booth. No more of that play stuff.
Last year, a 3rd and 22 situation was very similar to this, in which Pay hit Jeff James and saved that ball game for Stanford. But this one looks to be a little bit more drastic. 4th and 26. The ball all the way back at the Stanford 47-yard line. The Cardinal needs to get it inside the 30 of California, down to about between the 28 and 27. It all hinges on this play. Pay will work out of the shotgun. 4 wide receivers. Straight back he goes. Here comes the pressure. Joel Dixon after him. He'll go down. He got the ball off to Morris. Now let's see what Morris can do as he's going to be stopped short of the midfield stripe. California should hang on to win this ball game.
Joe's keeping his cool, getting his players off the field. You know that man's excited.
The guys who made that play were Magent Whiteside and Ken Harvey, who put the pressure on Pay. He was able to get the ball off to Morris, but then Morris just had too much acreage in front of him to try to make up.
Joe, they had to give the receivers plenty of time to get downfield. Again, they got to flush John, sprint him out. There's no chance.
The Bears just take the snap and fall on the ball. They should be able to run just one more play, and that'll be all they have to do. Stanford does not have any timeouts left. The Cardinal will not be able to stop the clock. It's winding down, 30 seconds left to play, inside 30 now.
Another great game.
You see the guys getting ready to claim the axe there. It's going to be theirs in less than 20 seconds now. And a very emotional moment for both sides. This will be it.
What a spectacle.
California has pulled off one of the biggest upsets in big game history. 17-11 over 16th ranked Stanford. In the final game of Joe Kapp's coaching career.
What a great example of college spirit and camaraderie and football. Unbelievable.
Really nothing you can add to that. They talk about legendary big games in the history of this series. We're watching one right now.
Oh, unbelievable. It's a nice way for a proud man to go out. And we got Hardy Nickerson going to lead the Cal band. Can't be much better than this. I'm not sure he's ready for the Boston Pops, but
what else can you say?
if we could get a full-range shot of this, the people are just pouring out of the stands. Say, that man had a great career at Cal, just short of 500 career tackles.
Cal guys said this was their bowl game. They said that all week. For Hardy Nickerson, this was his college career. This was it today. And you see how he feels about it there. That wraps up our big game coverage for today. We'd like to thank you for joining us and hope you'll be with us tomorrow afternoon following the 49ers and the Falcons here on Channel 5 for Bear Recap. We'll look at all the highlights of today's game and some special features. For Fred Fasana, this is Joe Fonzie. Once again, the final score, you saw it. Big game history in the making. California 17, Stanford 11. So long, everyone.
The 89th Big Game has been brought to you by your Northern California Toyota dealer. For the right deal, right now.
And by Coors Extra Gold, the beer with the taste you can see. And by Pacific Bell. Remember, whether they're family or friends, Pacific Bell reminds you, don't drift away. By Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time. And San Francisco Federal Savings, where financial services have reached new heights. And by California Cooler, the real stuff. And by your Bay Area Ford dealer, where you can get hot deals on Hot Wheels. And by the U.S. Army Reserve. Once a month, give yourself a weekend of challenge.
Keep him on the line.